Chapter 3870. In the driving heavens forest. After Kong Shinmu left the palace, he came to the place where he had gone to behead demons. He barged in and began to hunt the demon beasts. This time, because he had come alone, the demonic beasts did not flee towards the center of the heavenly exorcism forest. Therefore, even at the edge of the heavenly exorcism forest, there were many different types of demonic beasts. Most of these demonic beasts were not earth demons, and to Jiang Shenwu, they were not worth hunting. So he went straight to the depths of the driving heavens forest. Now he was a true dragon martial artist. Although he was only at the second layer of the dragon ascension realm, but to deal with fifth and sixth layer earth demons was basically a piece of cake. His purpose in hunting these earth demons was, of course, to hone his dragon martial skill, and the second was to hunt more monster dawn. Earth demon dawn were very important and precious resources for Kong Shinmu. Before embarking on his journey, he had to prepare enough demon dawn. Moreover, if he wanted to raise his cultivation level, he needed to obtain a large number of elixirs and spirit treasures. He needed to absorb the spiritual energy from elixirs and spirit treasures. Otherwise, his cultivation level would rise too slowly. The sky-piercing dragon shadow and the sky-roaring dragon claw, these two dragon martial skills required countless practice and training before they could be sufficiently improved. In the driving heavens forest, Kong Shinmu constantly hunted the earth demons. While training his dragon martial skill, he also obtained one demon dawn after another. Even at night, Kong Shinmu did not stop to rest. After devouring the earth demon dawn, he maintained 100% of his energy. The efficiency of hunting the demon beasts at night was still very high. Occasionally, he would encounter some stronger earth demons that came out from the depths of the driving heavens forest. For example, 7th or 8th tier earth demon existences. Before he was certain of victory, Kong Shinmu would avoid these existences. Although he had become a true dragon martial artist, his cultivation level of the dragon martial skill was still too low. He had to be careful and avoid these powerful demon beasts. 2 months passed by quickly. In these 2 months, many things happened in the Jiang clan's king's palace, the most important of which was the selection of the patriarch. Jiang Rong was Jiang Shenwu's uncle. On the surface, he treated Jiang Shenwu very well, but in secret, he constantly wanted to get rid of Jiang Shenwu. This middle-aged man successfully ascended to the position of patriarch of the Jiang clan. The important figures of the 5 palaces gathered in the king's palace, including Jiang Liuxue. But when Jiang Liuxue arrived, she did not see the person she wanted to see, Jiang Shenwu. Jiang Shenwu and Jiang Yuaning had left a deep impression on her. Unfortunately, Jiang Shenwu had already escaped from the Grand Prince's mansion when she arrived. Otherwise, he would have been killed on the back of the mountain. The reason why Kong Shinmu knew all this was because Jiang Rong had sent people to look for him in these 2 months. In the heaven-herding forest, there had been several groups of Jiang clan's dragon martial artists, but they were all avoided by Kong Shinmu. From their conversations, he learned that the Jiang clan's patriarch was Jiang Rong's. This made his heart even colder. In fact, he did not care about the position of patriarch. But Jiang Rong had schemed to kill him. This was something that Kong Shinmu could not forgive. After all, he was Jiang Rong's nephew. For the position of patriarch, Jiang Rong wanted to hire assassins to kill him, and had even sent people to search everywhere in order to kill him. There would be a day when Kong Shinmu would return to the king's palace and make Jiang Rong regret all his actions. As for his mother, Gu Yuero, Kong Shinmu was not worried. On one hand, she was protected by Jiang Yuaning and the others. On the other hand, even if it was to maintain the patriarch's loving image, Jiang Rong could not do anything to Gu Yuero. What's more, there were some elders in the clan who were extremely loyal to Jiang Zizai. Whoever wanted to do anything to Gu Yuero would have to ask these elders. If Jiang Rong were to really act against Gu Yuero, then his position as patriarch would come to an end. 2 months later, Kong Shinmu had already killed more than 1,000 earth demons in the heaven-herding forest. His food and energy were all obtained from the earth demon's core. In 2 months, he had consumed a total of more than 200 earth demon's core. Although it was a huge consumption, it allowed him to maintain the most abundant physical strength and energy at all times. Then, he took the remaining 800 earth demons' monster cores and left the heaven-herding forest. Finally, he headed out of the Jiang clan's territory. He wanted to use these monster cores to exchange for some elixirs and other cultivation resources, and then try to raise his cultivation level. He was almost at the third layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, just a step away. Kong Shinmu was afraid that there would be Jiang Rong's spies in the Jiang clan's territory, so he had to leave. The sky was high, the dragon soaring. Kong Shinmu was not worried that he would not be able to survive if he left the Jiang clan. In any case, when he traveled outside, it was all about benefits. As long as he paid attention to protecting himself, there would not be too much of a problem. And in these 2 months, he had finally cultivated the void-tearing dragon shadow and roaring sky dragon claw to the human level. Human level, earth level, dragon level, heaven level. There were 4 stages in the cultivation of the dragon martial skill. He had only reached the first stage of the 2 dragon martial skills, but he was already as fast as the wind and had remarkable effects. As for the iron blood dragon body, he had also made some progress during this period of time, but there was still a long way to go before he reached the dragon level. A black true dragon soared high in the sky. For the sake of hunting efficiency, in these 2 months, Kong Shinmu had basically killed a large circle around the periphery of the Sky Exorcist forest. After all, if he killed too many in one place, most of the demon beasts would flee. Moreover, he did not attempt to challenge the stronger earth demons, in order to prevent accidents and prioritize efficiency. He had 800 earth demon monster cores on him, which was a large fortune. After leaving the Jiang clan, Kong Shinmu came to a relatively chaotic area. This was the border between the Jiang clan and the other 2 dragon warrior clans. The 3 major clans were too lazy to manage this territory, so it became a paradise for vagrants and villains. Here, people died every day, and there were even dragon warriors among those who died. Even dragon warriors with the inheritance of the true dragon might not be able to survive here. This was because here, whoever had the bigger fist was the boss. Kong Shinmu chose this place because there was more freedom here. This area was called Desolate Dragon City. And outside of Desolate Dragon City, there were many places to gain experience and adventure. To improve one's strength, this was an excellent place. Chapter 3871. The chaotic scene in Desolate Dragon City caused Kong Shinmu, who had just arrived, to frown slightly. In this place, strength was everything. Kong Shinmu, who had a large number of spirit dawn but was not strong, was undoubtedly very dangerous in this city. However, he knew his limits. Right now, what he was thinking was to use the spirit dawn to exchange for some medicinal pills to increase his strength. Moreover, he could not take out too many spirit dawn at once, otherwise, it would be very easy for others to target him. He arrived at the market of Desolate Dragon City. Here, many dragon warriors were shouting loudly, wanting to sell or exchange some things that were more useful to dragon warriors. For example, medicinal pills, dragon weapons, and so on. Medicinal pills were used to increase one's cultivation. Dragon weapons, on the other hand, were weapons used by dragon warriors. Generally speaking, dragon warriors did not need to use external objects in battles, but dragon weapons were an exception. They were specially made weapons, specially used by dragon warriors. Dragon warriors with dragon weapons, their fighting strength would be much stronger than ordinary dragon warriors. The most common dragon weapon was dragon armor. This was a type of dragon weapon that was worn on the body, and its defensive ability was extremely strong. After a dragon warrior transformed into a dragon, the dragon armor on the body would turn into a layer of divine dragon armor, covering the body of the divine dragon, protecting the body of the divine dragon. However, in a place like Desolate Dragon City, even the most inferior dragon armor could be sold for a sky-high price, and would not appear in ordinary markets. What Kong Shinmu saw were some broken or damaged dragon weapons. These dragon weapons were not very effective, but they were still very valuable, and many people were willing to pay for them. As for Kong Shinmu, there was no need for that. Most dragon weapons were defensive types. He had cultivated the iron blood dragon body, so in terms of defense, he did not have a special need. Moreover, the defense of these broken dragon weapons might not be as strong as his iron blood dragon body. Kong Shinmu quickly found a stall that sold medicinal pills. The stall owner was a middle-aged man with a knife scar on his face. He looked fierce, but the medicinal pills in this stall were the most in other places. So Kong Shinmu stopped in front of this stall. It could be seen that this middle-aged man was also a dragon warrior. A wandering dragon warrior. Wandering dragon warriors didn't have the flame dragon sacrificial ceremony of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty as the channel to obtain the essence blood of divine dragons. If they wanted to obtain the essence blood of divine dragons, they could only do it through special channels. It could be through fortuitous encounters, or it could be from some tribes, or it could be bought from the black market. There were many channels, but none of them were recognized by the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. Therefore, wandering dragon martial artists were basically unable to enter some regular places. A place like the desolate dragon city had become a gathering place for wandering dragon martial artists. The development of wandering dragon martial artists was naturally not as smooth as that of the tribe. Even if they wanted to survive, they would encounter great obstacles. This was because the appetite of dragon martial artists was very big. If they could not guarantee their own income, they might starve to death. And if one wanted to have an income, one had to have enough strength. Otherwise, one would die even if they went out to hunt demonic beasts. How could they survive? The middle-aged man in front of him had a calm aura. Although he had a fierce look on his face, his state of mind was very calm. Kong Shinmu guessed that he probably had the strength of the 5th or 6th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. As for the essence blood, it was impossible for it to be of the true dragon level or above. This was because if a wandering dragon martial artist had the inheritance of a true dragon, he would be absorbed by some tribes and become a member of that tribe. The value of a dragon martial artist who obtained the essence blood of a true dragon was very high. Therefore, if they really fought, Kong Shinmu might not necessarily be this guy's opponent. But now, Kong Shinmu just pretended to be a teenager, a weakling, and came to the stall to buy elixirs. How much is this elixir? Kong Shinmu pointed to an elixir that caught his eye and asked aloud. This is an earth spirit elixir. There are 12 of them in a bottle, and each one is 50 dragon coins. The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, Boy, you are now in the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. If you want to step into the 3rd layer, the spiritual chi contained in these 12 earth spirit elixirs is almost enough. Adding them up, that was 600 dragon coins. Of course, right now Kong Shinmu did not have a single cent on him. He only had 800 Earth Demons Monster Dawn. Among these Monster Dawn, the ones with relatively high value were the Earth Demons Monster Dawn of the 5th and 6th layer. There were not many of them, but each of these Monster Dawn could be sold for more than 100 dragon coins. And the ones with relatively low value were the Earth Demons Monster Dawn of the 1st and 2nd layer. The value of these Monster Dawn was not high, and basically could only be sold for 4 or 5 dragon coins. All the Monster Dawn on Kong Shinmu's body added up was worth thousands of dragon coins, but it was impossible for him to take them all out. He could only take out some of the Monster Dawn of the 2nd and 3rd layer. The Monster Dawn of the 2nd layer were worth about 5 dragon coins, and the Monster Dawn of the 3rd layer were worth about 10 dragon coins. It also depended on the type of Monster Dawn and so on. The reason why Kong Shinmu took out these 2 levels of Monster Dawn was to not arouse the other party's suspicions. After all, he was only at the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. If he took out a higher level Monster Dawn, the other party would definitely be suspicious. He took out nearly 100 Monster Dawn. All of them were at the 2nd and 3rd layer. Adding them up, their value was about 900 dragon coins, which made the middle-aged man somewhat surprised. Monster Dawn are not easy to sell. Can I use these Monster Dawn to exchange? Before Kong Shinmu entered the desolate dragon city, he had already dressed himself up, looking travel-worn. In fact, even if he did not deliberately put on an appearance, after fighting in the heavenly dry forest for 2 months, he already looked very distressed. As for now, it was more like he had just experienced some hardships and came out from the depths of the forest. Boy, where did you go to kill these demon beasts? How long have you been killing them? The middle-aged man was somewhat interested in Kong Shinmu, and while taking the Monster Dawn, he chuckled. I've been busy for 2 months, but I can finally improve my cultivation. Kong Shinmu grinned. He took the bottle of 12 Earth Spirit Dawn from the other party. The Earth Spirit Dan was the most basic Dan that a dragon martial artist could take. It was refined from the Earth Demon's Monster Dawn and some medicinal herbs. Generally speaking, the value of the Earth Demon's Monster Dawn for dragon martial artists was in refining Dan. Basically, many Dan needed to use the Earth Demon's Monster Dawn, which also led to the high value of the Earth Demon's Monster Dawn. As long as it was not the kind of Monster Dawn eroded by devil chi, it was still very easy to sell. And this middle-aged man was obviously an alchemist. The nearly 100 Monster Dawn that Kong Shinmu gave him, plus some medicinal herbs, was enough for him to refine 5 bottles of such Earth Spirit Dawn. It could be said to be profiteering. Chapter 3872. 100 low-level monster cores for a bottle of 12 Earth Spirit Pills. Such a transaction did not cause much of a stir in the market of Barren Dragon City. Kong Shin-Mu did not attract the attention of others. After obtaining the Earth Spirit Pills, he immediately left the market and prepared to find a safe place to absorb the Earth Spirit Pills. After all, the earlier he increased his cultivation, the earlier he would become stronger. Of course, the increase in his cultivation was mainly because he had accumulated a lot of Earth Spirit Pills during this period of time. The 12 Earth Spirit Pills only had a catalytic effect. The effect was not particularly good. After all, they were the lowest level of pills. If he were to stay in the Jiang clan's Grand Prince's mansion, the effect of going to the cultivation room every day would be equivalent to taking an Earth Spirit Pill. However, since he had left, Jiang Xinwu had to put in more effort to be able to catch up to the results of his previous cultivation. In the market, he found a stall that bought monster cores and sold all the monster cores of the first layer of Earth Fae. Although each monster core could only be sold for 1 to 3 dragon coins, Kong Shin-Mu had over 100 of such monster cores on him. Thus, he obtained a total of 200 dragon coins. This amount of dragon coins was enough for his daily life in Barren Dragon City. As for food, Kong Shin-Mu did not really need it. After all, he still had over 100 monster cores that had been corroded by the devil Qi. This kind of monster core was useless to others, and it might even cause some disputes. Only Jiang Xinwu himself could absorb and devour the power within it. He could use it to survive, or use it to heal himself, etc., etc. In Barren Dragon City, he had only sold low-level monster cores, so it did not attract too much attention. If he wanted to sell the monster cores of the 5th or 6th layer of Earth Fae, then it would attract a lot of attention in Barren Dragon City. After all, in Barren Dragon City, there were not many wandering dragon warriors that could kill the 5th or 6th layer of Earth Fae. Kong Shin-Mu quickly found an inn. He prepared to rest in the inn and take the 12 Earth Spirit Pills. The inns in the desolate Dragon City were not necessarily safe, but for Kong Shin-Mu, this was the only place where he could rest. Other places were even more dangerous. When he arrived at the inn, he directly locked the door and closed the window by the street. Then, he immediately began to take the Earth Spirit Pill. As the medicinal power of the Earth Spirit Pill continued to spread from Kong Shin-Mu's dantian, it flowed to every part of his body. His strength seemed to have risen. The spirit Qi in the Earth Spirit Pill was constantly absorbed by him, increasing his strength. The night passed quickly. Opening the window of the room again, Kong Shin-Mu's cultivation base finally stepped into the 3rd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. In terms of actual fighting strength, he was at least 30% stronger than when he was in the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. In the Dragon Ascending realm, the gap between each realm was not particularly large. This was also the reason why Kong Shin-Mu was able to cross so many realms to fight against those earth demons. But when he reached the God Martial Arts realm, even if there was only a difference of 1 level, the gap was like heaven and earth. At the beginning, when he inherited the divine dragon blood essence, the gap between the ordinary dragon, true dragon, and heavenly dragon was almost impossible to make up. But when he reached the God Martial Arts realm, the gap between the grades of the divine dragon blood essence was not as big as it was at the beginning. Of course, the gap was bound to exist, and it was almost insurmountable. If Kong Shin-Mu wanted to improve the grade of his divine dragon blood essence, he could only devour the blood essence and bones of true dragon and above dragon martial artists, which was much more difficult. At least in the desolate Dragon City, there was almost no such opportunity. Kong Shin-Mu came to the desolate Dragon City mainly to improve his cultivation base. He was already in the 3rd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, and reaching the 9th layer was not far away. Kong Shin-Mu was a genius. At the age of 15, he had reached the Dragon Ascension realm and had the qualification to inherit the divine dragon blood essence. Now that he had reached the Dragon Ascension realm, even if he was wandering outside, without enough resources, he could still maintain a much faster speed of improvement than others. The Jiang clan's dragon martial artists who had received the divine dragon blood essence were mostly only in the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. A few of them might be able to reach the 3rd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, but the number was definitely not large. Of course, a genius like Zhang Liuxue was very likely to be close to, or even reach the 4th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. After all, she was also a genius, and the age at which she reached the Dragon Ascension realm was much younger than the others. Kong Shin-Mu's current goal was to surpass Zhang Liuxue. As long as he reached this goal, when he returned to the Jiang clan, no one would dare to say anything, and Zhang Rong would not dare to hire assassins to kill him. But to achieve this goal, it was still very difficult. He had obtained and swallowed the saliva of the demon dragon, which had narrowed the gap between him and Zhang Liuxue, but she was still much stronger than him. During the demon-slaying experience, Zhang Liuxue could already fight against the 7th-layer Earth Demon beasts. Then, my next goal is the 7th-layer Earth Demon beasts. Kong Xinmu thought in his heart and made a decision. He would continue to hunt demon beasts, and continue to cultivate the void-piercing dragon shadow and roaring sky dragon claw. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a scene that was completely out of place in Barren Dragon City on the street below the window. It was a girl dressed in white, walking over from the other side of the street. Beside the girl, there was a middle-aged man who looked very strong. He wore an azure mask, and wore a dragon weapon armor. He held a dragon weapon sword in his hand, as if he was protecting the girl. And that girl, to Kong Xinmu, was someone he had seen before. They were not acquaintances, but they had met once, and it could be said that she had saved Kong Xinmu's life. When Kong Xinmu had just inherited the essence of the divine dragon, he went to the dense forest outside the Grand Prince's palace to hunt demon beasts for training, but he almost died in a group of demon beasts. It was this girl who appeared with the snow fox, surrounded by colorful lights, and saved him from the hands of 2 silver-feathered beasts. Of course, the girl might have only wanted to capture the 2 rare silver-feathered beasts, but for Kong Xinmu, there was no doubt that she had saved his life. Immediately, Kong Xinmu left the inn and chased after the girl on the street. Now that he had met his savior again, no matter what, he had to go and thank him. However, when he went down the street, the girl was already far away, and Kong Xinmu could not find her for a while. He could only ask the passers-by to see where the girl had gone. Chapter 3873. Long Chen came in front of the giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the culprit that had frozen half of the worlds. Holy Lord Devouring Een. Holy Lord Devouring Een, die! Long Chen didn't waste any time. He turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon and used the primordial copper pagoda as the medium to condense the primordial chaos, creation, and chaos laws of primordial chaos. It turned into a giant dragon claw and tore Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's body into pieces. Long Chen, so what if you kill me? The sky-swallowing race will devour this world. All living beings in the worlds will become food for the sky-swallowing race. Holy Lord Devouring Een roared with great unwillingness before he was completely destroyed by Long Chen's primordial heaven-ripping technique. His divine soul was destroyed, his divine body was destroyed, and he disappeared from this world. Long Chen did not care about what Holy Lord Devouring Een roared before he died. No matter what, he only had one thought about the sky-swallowing race, and that was to kill every single one of them. He would not let the sky-swallowing race have the chance to devour the worlds. Holy Lord Devouring Dragon, Holy Lord Xueqi, and Holy Lord Devouring Een. The 3 sky-swallowing race Holy Lords were eliminated by Long Chen in Mo Xiaolong's 9-fire sun refining seal, cutting off half of the sky-swallowing race's remaining forces. This was a very important victory in the battle against the sky-swallowing race Holy Lords. It was also something that Long Chen had not expected. Xiaolang. Long Chen then started searching in the 9-fire sun refining seal. Mo Xiaolong's soul should still be in this giant fireball. As long as he found it, he might be able to let Mo Xiaolang return. Originally, the 9-fire refining sun seal used the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body as a medium and Mo Xiaolong's divine soul as a seal to suppress the 3 sky-devouring race Holy Lords. But now that the 3 sky-devouring race Holy Lords were dead, Xiaolang didn't need to expend energy suppressing the Holy Lords. Long Chen didn't have to search for long before he saw a sun-devouring god wolf in the center of the 9-flame refining sun seal. It was constantly absorbing the energy of the entire 9-flame refining sun seal. The 9 kinds of ancestral flame energy were constantly condensing in the sun-devouring god wolf's body. Xiaolang. Long Chen was overjoyed. He rushed over and found that it was indeed Mo Xiaolang reviving. When the 3-headed sky-devouring clan Holy Lord died, Mo Xiaolang recovered his consciousness and was reborn from the seal. He absorbed the power of the 9 flames refining sun seal and returned to his peak state. However, Mo Xiaolang was still recovering and couldn't move, so Long Chen guarded him. It was also at this moment that an accident happened. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Een died. The enormous amount of energy within their bodies was originally suppressed by the 9-flame refining sun seal. However, as Mo Xiaolang revived, the 9 flame-refining sun seals started to weaken, and the 3 balls of energy started to spread across the 10,000 worlds. This energy was originally the energy that the sky-devouring race Holy Lords had devoured from the 10,000 worlds. Returning to the 10,000 worlds was originally a good thing. It would definitely allow the 10,000 worlds to recover and increase their yuan qi. However, Long Chen forgot that there was still a sacred Lord soul devouring eyeing the 10,000 worlds. While Long Chen was guarding Mo Xiaolang, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had already given up on controlling the billions of lives in the 10,000 worlds and arrived in the space where Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang were. He suddenly exploded and completely devoured the power that belonged to Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. This scene stunned Long Chen. After devouring the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's aura increased dramatically. His power had more than doubled, and he became even scarier. Of course, this wasn't what Long Chen was afraid of. Even so, Long Chen was confident that he could defeat him. What Long Chen was worried about was that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's concealment techniques were very good. If he was allowed to escape and devour Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's power, the damage to the 10,000 worlds would be even greater. Stop! Long Chen roared as his body turned into a divine dragon and charged towards Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring hadn't had time to digest the power of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, and he didn't dare to fight head-on with Long Chen after seeing that Long Chen had become a complete primordial sacrificial dragon, so he immediately turned around and ran. Seeing this, Long Chen didn't chase after him. Instead, he turned around and shattered the 2 balls of power that belonged to Sacred Lord Blood Yama and Sacred Lord Devouring Een. The 2 balls of power then scattered across the 10,000 worlds. It was impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devouring to devour them in one go. As the power of the 2 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race spread across the 10,000 worlds, the power of the 10,000 worlds started to recover. The yuan qi increased dramatically, and space started to expand. The entire dragon sacrificial dragon world started to return to how it was before the epoch. Of course, there was still a long way to go before it completely recovered, but as long as the power of 2 more sacred lords returned, the 10,000 worlds would recover. Because Mo Xiaolang was still reviving, Long Chen didn't dare to leave him in case he was ambushed. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring ran very quickly during this period of time, and he didn't dare to stay near Long Chen at all. The primordial sacrificial dragon in its complete state wasn't something the current Sacred Lord Soul Devouring could block. Even if he devoured the power of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, it would still be the same. After all, it would take a lot of time to digest it. The divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf soon absorbed all the power sealed in the 9 fire-refining sun, and it finally opened its eyes. From those eyes, Long Chen could see the light that was unique to Mo Xiaolang. After the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race died, Mo Xiaolang finally returned. Mo Xiaolang's divine body had been reborn amidst the 9 ancestral fires, and he had recovered to his peak. He had even devoured some of the 3 great sacred lords' energy during this period of time. Therefore, Mo Xiaolang's current state was even better than before he self-detonated his divine body. Xiaolang, welcome back. There's still another sacred lord soul devouring. Let's work together to kill it. Long Chen had an excited expression. He was afraid that Xiaolang would leave forever, but he finally relaxed now. Although Xiaolang had just been reborn, he knew what had happened very well. He knew that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had devoured the power of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and was escaping through the 10,000 worlds. They had to finish him off as quickly as possible. Otherwise, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring would be able to cause great destruction in the 10,000 worlds in an instant. And let's go. Mo Xiaolang nodded his head, and the sun-devouring demonic wolf howled as it followed Long Chen and chased after the escaping Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring doesn't want to destroy the 10,000 worlds. Instead, he wants to escape to the ancestral world. He's heading toward the origin ground of the divine dragon. Let's chase after him. Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang teamed up to chase after him, so Sacred Lord Soul Devourer obviously didn't dare to face them head-on. Luckily, he was able to escape very quickly and enter the god dragon origin ground before the 2 of them caught up. Chapter 3874. When the seal barrier at the entrance of the huge cave was melted by the ancestral dragon's essence blood, Long Chen and the wolf cub were on standby, maintaining their highest vigilance. As a dense evil aura rolled out from the depths of the huge cave, The entire vicinity of the huge beehive seemed to be shrouded by a demonic aura. Then, a giant beast with 12 heads slowly walked out of the huge cave. I didn't think that the inheritor of the ancestral divine dragon would be so stupid as to release me, the sacred lord monster demon, from the seal. Xueqi, inheritor of the ancestral dragon, do you really think that the two of you can kill me, the sacred lord monster demon, with just the two of you? The 12-headed beast slowly walked out of the cave. It wasn't in a rush to attack, nor was it in a rush to leave the cave. Instead, it looked at Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang with ridicule, as if the two of them were prey that couldn't resist at all in its eyes. The sacred lord monster demon actually had 12 heads. Long Chen glanced over and saw that the 12 heads were in the shape of the 12 zodiac beasts. All 12 heads stared at Long Chen, causing Long Chen's hair to stand on end. So what if you have more heads? Show me what you've got. Battle intent surged in Mo Xiaolang's eyes. Compared to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, who could control mental energy, Mo Xiaolang preferred a head-on battle. The feeling of fighting to his heart's content was what he looked forward to the most. Xiaolang, be careful. Don't be careless. Let's do it. Long Chen reminded Mo Xiaolang before charging toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. He maintained his vigilance at all times because he didn't know how strong this Sacred Lord Monster Demon was. Therefore, he didn't use his full power when he charged over. Mo Xiaolang didn't hesitate either. He followed Long Chen and charged toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. 9 kinds of ancestral flames burned around the sun-devouring demonic wolf and almost refined the nearby space. These 9 ancestral flames formed a storm of ancestral flames that roared toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. Naive! The 12 heads of the Demon Holy Lord laughed at the same time. 12 pairs of eyes with different shapes stared at Long Chen and the other half at the sun-devouring demon wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into. The Holy Lord Monster Demon didn't retreat at all when the two of them charged over. Ancestral Firestorm? I am the 3rd Saint Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan. How can such a level of fire hurt me? The 12 mouths of the Holy Master monsters and demons let out presumptuous laughter at the same time. Then, one of the heads, the tiger head of the 12 zodiac animals, directly opened its huge mouth towards the storm of ancestral fire. Devourer of flames! The tiger head roared and a terrifying devouring law burst out from its mouth, instantly enveloping the 9 ancestral firestorms of the sun-devouring demon wolf. The devouring law that erupted from the tiger's mouth completely devoured the ancestral firestorm formed by the 9 ancestral fires. The power of the ancestral firestorm became a part of Sacred Lord Fiendish Demon. I, the Demon Holy Lord, can devour anything. Even if it's spirit, soul, flesh and blood essence, water, fire, wind, earth. I can devour them all. What can you do to me? The Sacred Lord of the Monster Demon race laughed. Long Chen and the sun-devouring demonic wolf's bodies were reflected in his 12 pairs of eyes. Not only did the ancestral fire not hurt him, it even replenished the power of the fire laws in his tiger head avatar, making him even more ferocious. Primordial Strike. Of course, Long Chen wouldn't stop attacking just because of that. He gritted his teeth and held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand. He gathered the primordial chaos, and creation rule forces together, and a dazzling light burst out from the primordial copper pagoda. The Primordial Strike, a powerful technique that Long Chen had integrated with the primordial law, landed on the Demon Holy Lord. The terrifying power even completely annihilated the space along the way. Devour of the Divine Dragon. The Divine Dragon head among the 12 heads of the Demon Holy Lord stretched its head out and opened its huge mouth. Immediately, a wave of devouring law surged out. Divine Dragon's Devouring Law. I learned this law from the Devouring Dragon Holy Lord. It's specifically used to devour the law power of the 9 great ancestor dragons. Your primordial sacrificial dragon can't escape its devouring either. Holy Lord Monster Demon smiled sinisterly, and the devour law gushed out of the divine dragon's head and enveloped the primeval strike. Then, the primeval strike exploded and was swallowed by the divine dragon's head. Xueqi, great nourishment. If that's all you have, then this holy lord won't be polite anymore. The myriad worlds will become food in my stomach. The demon holy lord laughed crazily. The 12 heads shook at the same time, and the devouring law erupted like a volcano, surging towards Long Chen and the sun-devouring demon wolf. Demon Devouring Frenzy. The 12 heads burst out with different devouring law that instantly drowned Long Chen and the sun-devouring demon wolf. The terrifying devouring law trapped the two of them, and they couldn't help each other. They could only rely on their own strength to break through the devouring law's encirclement. Primordial heaven ripping. Long Chen didn't hesitate and immediately turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon. Then, he used the primordial copper pagoda to form a huge dragon claw. The powerful dragon claw gathered the chaos, creation, and primordial laws. It instantly tore apart the devouring law, allowing Long Chen to escape. Just as he was worrying about Mo Xiaolang, he saw a devouring light pillar on Mo Xiaolang's side suddenly break the opponent's demon's frenzied devouring law. It turned out to be Heavenly Wolf devouring the universe. Mo Xiaolang wasn't any slower than Long Chen. He also broke through the opponent's demon devouring law and reunited with Long Chen. I've underestimated you guys. TSK. But it's more interesting to fight like this. Holy Lord Monster Demon was a little surprised. He didn't expect his demon devouring law to be broken so easily. However, this law was just an ordinary move for him. He still had many tricks up his sleeves. He had plenty of time to play with Long Chen and the others. After all, he had been sealed here for countless years. He really needed to stretch his muscles after just getting out. Come, let's fight. Let me completely recover the powerful feeling I had before I was sealed. Now, this Holy Lord feels like my entire body is falling apart. After all, I've been sealed for too long. Holy Lord Monster Demon had a satisfied expression. His 12 heads roared at the same time, and the devouring law once again burst out, surging towards Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Billions of demons roar. An extremely terrifying demonic roar that shook the heavens and the earth came from the 12 heads. The roar directly turned into a terrifying shockwave that suddenly blasted Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Chapter 3875. The legend of Zhou Long's nether ruins had been circulating in this area for a long time. Even the dragon warriors of the Jiang clan were familiar with it. It was said that 300 years ago, there was a dragon martial artist named Zhou who had fallen here. This dragon martial artist was the inheritor of the divine dragon's blood essence that transcended all living beings. He was extremely powerful, but it was unknown why he had fallen here, forming a vast underground ruin. Originally, Zhou Long's nether ruins was a city. But now, it was filled with all kinds of green vines and weeds, forming an extremely complicated underground world. Demon beasts were everywhere. Moreover, that Zhou had a gloomy innate ability, causing this area to become a paradise for some sinister demon beasts. For example, the profound shadow snake. The profound shadow snake was the most common demon beast in Zhou Long's nether ruins. It was at least a 3rd or 4th layer earth demon. When it came out to hunt, it would attack anyone it saw, unless it was someone with an extremely powerful aura. Even some 7th or 8th layer dragon ascending realm wandering dragon warriors had been killed by the profound shadow snake. All of this was because of the poison in the profound shadow snake's body. If one was bitten by the profound shadow snake and did not have an antidote, then even if they could kill the profound shadow snake, they would not be able to survive. It was very common for them to die together. Kong Xinmu was not worried about this. Riding on the wings of the silver-feathered beast, a total of 22 people quickly flew in the direction of Zhou Long's nether ruins. When they were within 10 miles, waves of sinister wind blew, as if there were invisible hands gently caressing them, causing their hearts to tremble. The entrance to Zhou Long's nether ruins was a cave. Very quickly, everyone arrived at the entrance of the cave. After entering this cave, it was the Zhou Long's nether ruins, an extremely vast and complicated underground world. Gloomy demon beasts were everywhere, and if one didn't have some ability, it was basically impossible to come out alive. Clearly, the wandering dragon warriors who dared to sign up for the search were all confident in their own strength. Otherwise, they would not have come to die in vain. Although the reward of 2,000 dragon coins was not little, it depended on whether they were alive to receive it. All right, go in. Take this. If you find traces of the snow sky fox, just activate this item. The middle-aged Nirvana Tribulation Eminence wearing a cyan mask gave everyone a dragon talisman. The dragon talisman was a jade talisman that some martial artists had stored their own innate ability. Then, anyone could activate the jade talisman and release the innate ability stored within. The jade talisman that Kong Xinmu had obtained was a simple communication jade talisman. Once he found traces of the snow sky fox and activated the jade talisman, Ji Yeshuan and this middle-aged man would know his location. However, there is one thing you need to know. I recruited you to find the snow sky fox. If you activate the jade talisman because of some unimportant matter, don't blame me for not showing mercy. The awe-inspiring words made the 19 wandering dragon martial artists shudder. They had thought of activating the communication jade talisman when they encountered other dangers. However, it seemed that this was not the case. The other party would not rush over to save them. After all, to Ji Yeshuan, finding the snow sky fox was the most important thing. As for the lives of other people, what does it matter? Kong Shin-mu didn't think much of it. In any case, if it was a fey beast, it wouldn't be a threat to him. Let's go, Ji Yeshuan said coldly. Then, she took the lead and ran into the pitch-black cave. After a while, she disappeared from everyone's sight. As for the middle-aged man wearing the cyan mask, he stood at the entrance of the cave and didn't do anything for the time being. It seemed that he wanted to wait for the others to enter before taking action. Or perhaps, he didn't plan to act casually and was prepared to wait for news at the entrance of the cave. The wandering dragon warriors looked at each other. None of them moved first. However, Kong Shin-mu didn't think so much. He took the lead and walked into the pitch-black cave. This scene surprised the wandering dragon martial artists. This kid, how dare he go in first? He's really not afraid of death. Let's just follow behind him. There won't be any danger for the time being. The wandering dragon warriors looked at each other and saw the same thought in each other's eyes. That was to follow behind Kong Shin-mu. To them, protecting their lives was the most important thing. As long as they survived, they would be able to obtain 2,000 dragon coins. As for the grand prize of 100,000 dragon coins, they basically didn't ask for it. To these wandering dragon warriors, they never believed in good things that would fall from the sky. If they wanted to obtain the 100,000 dragon coins, they would probably be in deep danger. They admired Kong Shin-mu's courage, but they sneered in their hearts. They wanted to see how this kid would die. Little did they know that Kong Shin-mu didn't care about the danger at the entrance of the Zhou Dragon Nether Ruins. Soon, the 19 wandering dragon warriors entered the cave and followed closely behind Kong Shin-mu. This made the middle-aged man in the cyan mask shake his head inwardly. This group of wandering dragon warriors was really useless. It was a waste to let them find the snow sky fox. However, he didn't place much hope on them. Instead, he was slightly surprised by Kong Shin-mu's courage. This kid seems to be a little different. The middle-aged man stood at the wide entrance of the Zhou Dragon Nether Ruins. He didn't enter. Instead, he jumped up and hid on the cliff above the cave. The Zhou Dragon Nether Ruins wasn't completely dark. Not long after Kong Shin-mu entered, he saw many glowing green vines appear on the surrounding cave walls. The cave was winding, and many of the cave walls were dilapidated. It was obvious that this place was once a city. Unfortunately, it was now buried underground. From the surrounding air, Kong Shin-mu felt a dense and humid aura. The glowing green vines illuminated the surroundings. Although the wandering dragon warriors behind him were a little afraid, under the dim and strange light of the green vines, they appeared somewhat terrifying and ferocious. Kong Shin-mu strode forward. Suddenly, a black shadow jumped out from the shadow of a nearby broken wall and rushed towards Kong Shin-mu, pouncing on him. With the help of the faint light of the green vines, the wandering dragon warriors discovered that this was a fourth-layer earth demon profound shadow snake. Moreover, the moment this profound shadow snake leaped out, it brazenly bit Kong Shin-mu. The poison instantly spread throughout his body. This kid is going to die. Don't worry about it. Let's quickly go around him. That profound shadow snake has enough prey to eat. It won't care about us. Chapter 3876. Everyone stayed away from Kong Shin-mu. At this moment, Jiang Shenwu heaved a sigh of relief. If there were still people around him, it wouldn't be convenient for him to unleash his devouring power. But now, he could unleash his full strength. The Zhoulong's nether ruins is very vast. Even the inheritor of the heavenly dragon's blood essence can easily transform into a dragon here. Not to mention the others, just the profound shadow snake is about the same size as Kong Shin-mu in his human form. Not to mention, there are even bigger demon beasts in the depths of the Zhoulong's nether ruins. The profound shadow snake is just a small thing at the entrance of the Zhoulong's nether ruins. Devour. Kong Shinmu's devouring power emerged. He grabbed the profound shadow snake's neck and then activated his roaring sky dragon claw. Although he did not transform into a dragon, when he used his roaring sky dragon claw, there was still a burst of divine dragon's might roaring out. A dragon claw shadow appeared on his hand and whistled through the air, cutting the profound shadow snake's skin. The skin of the profound shadow snake could be considered rough and thick, with tough scales. However, when faced with Jiang Shenwu's roaring sky dragon claw, it still couldn't withstand it. A wound appeared on its skin, and pitch-black poisonous blood flowed out. After all, Kong Shinmu has inherited the blood essence of a true dragon. His strength has increased a lot compared to before. He has killed many demon beasts like the profound shadow snake in the Heaven Drive forest. Those demon beasts have all become monster dawn in Kong Shinmu's hands. The black devouring power corroded the profound shadow snake's body through the wound and began to devour its strength. Then, waves of poison were swallowed into Kong Shinmu's body, but it was dissolved by the devouring power. In the end, it gave Kong Shinmu a resistance to this kind of poison. The profound shadow snake knew that it had encountered a tough opponent. It wanted to escape but it could not. In the end, it could only be completely devoured by Kong Shinmu. It issued a sharp hissing sound, which was extremely mournful and terrifying. "Are you calling for your companions?" The corners of Kong Shinmu's mouth curled up, but he didn't care. He took out the remaining Yao core of the mysterious shadow snake and continued to move deeper into the ruins. The deeper they went into the dragon's nether ruins, the more dangerous the situation would become. Besides the mysterious shadow snake, there were many other insidious demon beasts hiding in the underground ruins. Moreover, their strength would become stronger and stronger, and their actions would become more and more insidious. As Kong Shinmu walked, he soon saw the corpses of 2 wandering dragon martial artists. It looked like they had been poisoned to death, but he didn't know what had killed them. Walking further ahead, there were 2 other wandering dragon martial artists. They were already surrounded by a group of shadow scorpions. They were drenched in cold sweat and trembling all over. There were 7 or 8 shadow scorpions in total, each as big as a lion or a tiger. Under the dim light of the surrounding ivy, their stingers flashed with a highly poisonous color. At first glance, it was obvious that they were extremely deadly existences. Something's not right today. Why are the shadow scorpions moving out in groups and appearing so close to the entrance? Could it be because of the snow fox? What should we do now? It won't be so easy to escape. The 2 wandering dragon martial artists conversed with each other. Originally, they didn't have any friendship with each other, but at this moment, they both had ideas about each other. If the other party could buy them some time, they should have a chance to escape. Right at this moment, they saw Jiang Shenwu who had caught up from behind. Their expressions immediately froze. Why isn't he dead? I clearly saw this kid get bitten by the mysterious shadow snake. I don't know, this kid is hiding some secret. The 2's faces were gloomy. After exchanging a glance, they rushed in the direction of Kong Shinmu. As soon as they moved, the surrounding 8 shadow scorpions moved at the same time. Moreover, their speed was extremely terrifying. In an instant, they appeared in front of Kong Shinmu, wanting to kill the 2 wandering dragon martial artists. As for the 2 wandering dragon martial artists, they didn't even dare to transform into dragons at this moment. If they did, their bodies would become bigger, and the shadow scorpions would catch up to them. They could only rush in the direction of Kong Shinmu as if they didn't care about their lives. Unfortunately, Jiang Shenwu sneered. Wind stirred up beneath his feet as he unleashed the void-shattering dragon shadow. In an instant, he retreated into the shadows. His speed was something these 2 wandering dragon martial artists couldn't match. In the next moment, the shadow scorpion caught up to them. Ah! Horrifying screams rang out. At this time, the 2 wandering dragon warriors finally chose to transform into dragons. However, the shadow scorpion was not an existence to be trifled with. Even in the face of the divine dragon's body that had transformed into dragons, it was still extremely agile. Its sharp stinger continued to stab, injecting venom into the divine dragon's body. The 2 divine dragons continued to struggle and resist in this awe-inspiring underground ruins. In the end, they still managed to kill the 2 shadow scorpions. One of them burned one to death with his fire talent, while the other froze the other to death with his ice talent. But then, under the influence of the poison, they became weaker and weaker. Gradually, they couldn't use the talent in their bodies. The two wandering dragon martial artists fell heavily to the ground, blood flowing out of their dragon bodies. "You didn't save us." Kong Shinmu's figure appeared in the gradually dimming eyes of one of the wandering dragon martial artists. "Do you have the right to say that?" Kong Shinmu replied indifferently. "When I was at the front and was targeted by the mysterious shadow snake, did you save me? Since you didn't save others, don't expect others to save you." After saying this, the wandering dragon martial artist finally stopped breathing. The other wandering dragon martial artist laughed bitterly. "So what? Anyway, we're all going to die. There are only 5 shadow scorpions left. Do you think you can pass through this place alone?" In his vicious eyes, the remaining 5 shadow scorpions didn't let Kong Shinmu go. They crawled towards Kong Shinmu from all directions. The shadow scorpions were very familiar with the underground ruins. Their speed in this area was extremely terrifying. Even Kong Shinmu, who had activated the breaking space dragon shadow, couldn't escape. However, Kong Shinmu never thought of escaping. These shadow scorpions were only at the 4th or 5th layer of the earth demon realm. He could definitely fight them with brute force. The 300-foot-long black dragon body instantly appeared from the underground ruins, knocking over a dilapidated wall. At the same time, Xiao Tian's dragon claw came crashing down, directly shattering the hard shell of one of the shadow scorpions. Then, the power of devouring surged and began to devour the power of this shadow scorpion. When the true dragon body appeared, the wandering dragon martial artist who hadn't died yet suddenly opened his eyes wide. He didn't expect this kid to be the inheritor of the true dragon blood essence. Chapter 3877. Kong Shinmu's black dragon body rushed out, roaring in the underground ruins, crushing the shadow scorpions one by one. Even though the black dragon's body was continuously pierced by the shadow scorpion's stinger and injected with poison, under the endless devouring power, the shadow scorpion's bones were all completely devoured by Jiang Shenwu, causing his divine dragon body to have a very strong resistance against the shadow scorpion's poison. These shadow scorpions at the earth demon level couldn't poison Kong Shinmu to death. Soon, these shadow scorpions were completely killed by Kong Shinmu. As for the bones of the wandering dragon warriors, they were useless to Kong Shinmu. Since he had swallowed the saliva of the demon dragon, Kong Shinmu didn't need to devour the bones of the ordinary dragon warriors, because it wouldn't improve him. Only the bones of the true dragon warriors were valuable to Kong Shinmu. He transformed into a human form and continued to move forward. In the Zhou dragon's ruins, the green vines glowed dimly. All kinds of shadowy creatures were moving around, but feeling the divine dragon aura on Kong Shinmu's body, they didn't dare to show their heads. At this moment, Kong Shinmu's body carried a strong devouring poisonous aura, which made the dark demon beasts in the Zhou dragon's ruins tremble in fear, running away from the place where Kong Shinmu went. Along the way, Jiang Shenwu continued to see the corpses of many wandering dragon warriors. However, he could see that not all wandering dragon warriors died here. There were still a few stronger wandering dragon warriors that had gone deeper into the ancient land. Kong Shinmu carefully felt the aura in the depths of the Zhou dragon's ruins. His biggest goal in coming to the Zhou dragon's ruins was to find the bones of the Zhou in the underground ruins. Of course, he might not be able to find the legendary existence, but it was good to explore. If he could devour it, it would be a great improvement for Kong Shinmu. As for the snow heavenly fox, it was just something that came along. I wonder where Ji Yeshuan is right now? As Kong Shinmu was thinking, he moved forward quickly in the Zhou dragon's dark ruins. Soon, he went deep into the underground ruins. 2 more corpses of wandering dragon warriors appeared in front of him. It was obvious that the 2 wandering dragons had died from the same poison, which was even more potent than the mystic shadow snake and the dark shadow scorpion. Kong Shinmu raised his guard. After all, this meant that there were more powerful dark beasts around. Although the poisonous aura on his body was strong, which meant that he was a great threat, the dark demonic beasts in the dark ruins of Zhou Dragon were not necessarily afraid of him. As expected, as soon as Kong Shinmu passed by the 2 wandering dragon warriors, a dim light emerged from the faint light of the green vines. Then, several dark vines attacked towards Kong Shinmu. These dark-colored vines flashed with a faint green light and moved at a terrifying speed. In the blink of an eye, they had wrapped around Jiang Shenwu's body. Then, the sharp thorns on the green vines attempted to pierce through his skin and inject the poison into his body. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu had cultivated the Iron Blood Dragon Body Martial skill, which had reached the Earth realm. It was not easy for these green vines to pierce Kong Shinmu's skin. This green vine tree monster is an earth demon of the 7th layer. If I don't transform into a dragon, I won't be able to defeat it. Jiang Shenwu's heart skipped a beat. In the next moment, he once again transformed into the body of a black ordinary dragon. The deterrence of a real dragon turned into a majestic aura and crashed down, shrouding the green vine tree demons that were all over the place. Immediately after, the dragon claw turned into the sharpest blade and cut off several green vines that were emitting a dim light. The pitch-black devouring power began to pour into the broken vines. Then, it swallowed all the juice within the vines into the black dragon's body. The toxic juice of the vines turned into the purest form of toxic energy that was absorbed by the black dragon. Instead, it made the black dragon develop a body that was resistant to toxic energy. However, when Kong Shinmu turned into a black dragon, the entire body of the green vine tree monster was revealed. This earth demon of the 7th layer was not just made of a few glowing green vines. When it was completely revealed, a terrifying web of green vines wrapped around the black dragon's body. The black dragon's body was more than 300 feet long, but this green vine tree monster was even larger. Its huge body was like a huge web, shrinking from the outside to the inside, trying to trap the black dragon within. Shao Tian Dragon Claw. Jiang Shenwu used the Roaring Sky Dragon Claw's Dragon Martial skill. Unfortunately, this Dragon Martial skill was only at the human level. Its power was not tyrannical enough, and it was unable to break through the entire net of vines. It could only create some cracks on a few of the vines, allowing the devouring power to enter. Countless green vines and sharp thorns gradually pierced through the surface of the black dragon's body. Even the earth-level Ironblood dragon's body couldn't completely resist the green vine tree demon at the 7th heaven of the earth demon realm, and huge holes were pierced through it. Divine dragon essence blood seeped out from these holes. However, the devouring power penetrated deeper into the green vine tree monster, rapidly devouring its strength and replenishing the divine dragon's essence blood. It was the same situation as before. As long as this earth demon could not kill Kong Shinmu in one go, then Kong Shinmu would be invincible. As the devouring power erupted, Kong Shinmu would gradually turn defeat into victory and become the final winner of this tug of war. The divine dragon essence blood dripped on the barren ground of the underground ruins. The physical strength of the green vine tree monster also became weaker and weaker as the devouring power eroded it. Obviously, this green vine tree monster had realized that it was not the right choice to make Kong Shinmu its prey. Unfortunately, it had no way out now. Kong Shinmu had already clenched the web of green vines tightly with his dragon claws. It was impossible for the green vine tree monster to retreat. In the end, it could only be devoured by Kong Shinmu and turned into withered leaves. After devouring, Kong Shinmu had replenished the power of the green vine tree monster into his body. Not only did he not lose any strength, but he also strengthened his resistance to poison. Now, Kong Shinmu's black dragon body was almost completely poisonous. Even some weaker wandering dragon warriors would be poisoned to death if they swallowed his divine dragon essence blood. But for Kong Shinmu, these poisons had no effect on him. Devouring power, what kind of existence are you? He thought of the black dragon's consciousness. Could it really devour the sky? Then let's find the corpse of this dead dragon warrior and devour it. Jiang Shenwu's eyes sparkled with a sharp light. He transformed back into his human form, leaving behind the withered and yellowish ivy tree demon's remains, and continued venturing deeper into the Zhou dragon's dark ruin. That kind of awe-inspiring aura seemed to be hovering around him, making him feel the sign of a powerful existence. Chapter 3878. The Zhou dragon ruins was vast and awe-inspiring. In the underground ruins, Kong Shinmu continued to move forward. After killing an ivy tree demon, the poisonous aura on his body became even stronger, and even some stronger earth demons were hesitant to attack him. Although Kong Shinmu seemed to be only at the 3rd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm, but many times, the strength of a dragon martial artist could not be accurately spied on from the cultivation base. Jiang Shenwu's body carried a poisonous aura, which meant that he had just killed a powerful earth demon. This caused the other earth demons to carefully consider whether it was necessary to take the risk for such a prey before they made their move. The Zhou Dragon Ruins was rarely visited by humans, but for these earth demons, dragon martial artists were not unreachable food. For these dark earth demons, living in this underground ruins for a long time, although they could not come into contact with too many dragon martial artists, but even if they devoured each other, it was enough for them to survive, and they did not necessarily need to eat dragon martial artists. Therefore, in the case of risk, these earth demons would not attack Kong Shinmu for the sake of insurance. Soon, Kong Shinmu went 10 miles into the underground ruins. At this place, if he went any deeper, he would encounter real terrifying danger, and might even encounter some sky demon-level demon beasts. Until now, Kong Shinmu had not seen even the slightest trace of a snow heavenly fox, which made him somewhat puzzled. Was that snow heavenly fox really brought to the Zhou Dragon Dark Ruins? Just as he was thinking about this, he suddenly felt a burst of cold air coming from not far away, causing his heart to shiver. He hurriedly ran in the direction of the cold air. With the help of the green vine's dim light, he really saw a wisp of snow-white color sweeping across the underground ruins. Is that a snow heavenly fox? Jiang Shenwu's heart stirred and he hurriedly followed. He had seen a snow heavenly fox before, but this time the dim light of the ivy was too dim, and there was some dense miasma in the depths of the Zhou Dragon ruins, obscuring his vision, so he could not see clearly whether it was a snow heavenly fox or not. As he chased after them, he activated the message dragon talisman he had obtained earlier. From the communication talisman, an invisible force flew out of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. At the same time, the communication talisman in Kong Shinmu's hands was completely scrapped. Then, he continued to chase forward, and could still occasionally see the small snow-white figure. If that's the snow heavenly fox, it doesn't seem to have been kidnapped by anyone? Kong Shinmu found it a little strange. If it wasn't kidnapped, why wouldn't it listen to Ji Yeshuan's orders? After all, Ji Yeshuan could control the power of beasts. This was the talent that she had obtained from the divine dragon's inheritance blood essence. Theoretically, there shouldn't be any beasts that disobeyed her orders. For example, the 2 silver-feathered birds were completely obedient to her. However, when he thought about the first time he saw Ji Yeshuan, the snow heavenly fox was running around in the forest. It seemed that this snow heavenly fox was indeed a little strange. Kong Shinmu didn't think too much about it. He transformed into the form of a black dragon and used the void-piercing dragon shadow dragon martial skill, heading deeper into the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. It seemed that because he was following the snow heavenly fox, those powerful earth demons along the way didn't have any intention of attacking Kong Shinmu. Even Kong Shinmu could feel that the small snow-white figure in front of him was an extremely tyrannical existence. After chasing for a while, he could confirm that it was the snow heavenly fox, but it was a little difficult to keep up with it. Even if he used the void-piercing dragon shadow, his speed was far inferior to the snow heavenly fox. Fortunately, the snow heavenly fox seemed to be looking for something in the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. It walked and stopped, so that Kong Shinmu could slowly catch up and not completely lose it. Not long after, he felt a powerful existence behind him, flying over at an extremely fast speed. It's the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Cyan Masked Man. Before Kong Shinmu could react, a whirlwind whistled past him. It was the middle-aged man in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, and he directly chased after the snow heavenly fox. So fast! Kong Shinmu was shocked by his speed. Even though this guy was only in human form, his speed was still several times faster than the current Kong Shinmu. Moreover, this guy should have flown all the way from outside the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. It could be seen that his speed was truly unimaginable to the current Kong Shinmu. However, as if it had noticed the man's arrival, the snow-white snow heavenly fox disappeared in an instant. At the same time, several pitch-black streams of light swept out from the depths of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins and rushed towards the man. These pitch-black streams of light carried the aura of some kind of divine dragon's blood essence. Moreover, they contained an extremely sinister flow, causing the middle-aged man in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm to pause for a moment. After that, the trace of the snow heavenly fox completely disappeared before their eyes. Bastard! The middle-aged man in the Nirvana Tribulation Realm cursed in his heart. He raised his hand, and a terrifying power exploded out, completely blasting away the pitch-black streams of light. Uncle Ya, can't you catch up? A cold voice came from the other side. It was the petite young girl, Ji Yeshuan, who walked over from the side. Whether it was Ji Yeshuan or the Uncle Ya she spoke of, Both of them carried an extremely tyrannical aura, causing the nearby demon beasts to not dare to approach them. Unfortunately, as strong as they were, they had no way to catch up to the snow heavenly fox. It ran away. It should have borrowed the power from the depths of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. Let's continue chasing, the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, Uncle Ye said in a low voice. At this moment he turned his head, and the eyes under the mask looked at Kong Shin-mu. As expected, I think highly of this kid. Only he can come here and find the trace of the snow heavenly fox. The others are of no use at all. You can't say that. Ji Yeshuan smiled faintly. If it wasn't for the fact that there were a lot of people who came in, the snow heavenly fox might have been hiding in a corner instead of continuing to run deeper. Let's catch up. The young girl took a step forward. Uncle Ye said to Kong Shin-mu, go now. What's ahead is not something you can participate in. After you leave, we will give you 100,000 dragon coins according to the agreement. I'll go with you. Kong Shin-mu shook his head, and casually came up with an excuse. The snow heavenly fox doesn't seem to reject me. At the crucial moment, I might be of some use. You're courting death. Ji Yeshuan sneered, and ignored him. Her figure flashed, and disappeared into the darkness ahead. Uncle Ye didn't say anything, and just nodded, and took another step forward. Kong Shin-mu followed. What he really wanted was the dragon warrior skeleton in the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. Chapter 3879. Uncle Ye and Ji Yeshuan were both very fast. However, because they were flying in the front, they had to defend against the dark cold currents that were constantly rolling out from the depths of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. Therefore, Jiang Shenwu had to catch up slowly. Kong Shin-mu was flying behind them, so he wouldn't be attacked by the dark cold currents. However, he had a feeling that even if he touched the dark cold currents, he wouldn't be hurt. Because of the devouring power, the dark cold currents would be easily devoured. The dark cold currents came from the depths of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. Just when Uncle Ye was about to catch up with the Xueqi, they came out. It was very strange. This was quite a hindrance to Uncle Ye and Ji Yeshuan. However, they were strong after all, so they were still able to move forward swiftly. It wasn't long before Xueqi's figure appeared in front of them once more. This time, the three of them saw that the Xueqi seemed to be holding something in its mouth. It was moving towards the depths of the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. As for what it was, they couldn't see it clearly with the cyan light in the ruins. The key was that the dark cold currents were constantly blocking their vision. The whole situation was very chaotic. They could only wait until they caught up with it. In the area where the dark cold currents were bursting, even the demonic beasts had disappeared. No demonic beast could survive in such an environment. In the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins, the strongest demonic beasts were the rare sky demons in the previous area. Because he was following Uncle Ye, Kong Shin-mu didn't encounter those sky demons. It was even more impossible for him to meet them now. These dark and cold currents seemed to have something to do with the powerful dragon martial artist who died here. Only someone at the divine martial realm can resist them. Even that genius girl, Ji Yeshuan, would find it difficult to resist them. Kong Shin-mu could see that Ji Yeshuan had turned into a snow-white divine dragon. Her body was more than 100 feet long. She was a genuine dragon warrior of the Sky Dragon inheritance. Her strength was naturally not to be doubted. But even so, the dark and cold currents that continuously invaded the body of the snow-white divine dragon caused some wounds to continuously appear on its body. Although these wounds quickly recovered, it still meant that Ji Yeshuan would be injured in such an environment. Kong Shin-mu followed closely behind her. He didn't try to resist the dark cold currents. Anyway, it was not necessary. Uncle Ye ran in front in human form. He kept activating the Nirvana Tribulation power in his body to defeat the dark cold currents, which saved Kong Shin-mu a lot of trouble. As the three went deeper and deeper into the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins, the surrounding temperature became lower and lower. Even the broken walls in the ruins were covered with some dark, transparent ice crystals. The existence of these ice crystals meant that there was a terrible cold chi in the Zhou Dragon's dark ruins. Moreover, in this cold chi, there was some kind of awe-inspiring power. This power should be the remnant of the dead powerful dragon warrior. It could be inferred that the powerful dragon warrior named Zhou was probably not weaker than the Dragon King of the imprisoned dragon domain. The existence that imprisoned the Dragon King might even be stronger than him. It was really sad that he died in this corner for hundreds of years. The divine dragon blood that a dragon warrior could get from the flame dragon sacrifice could at most reach the level of the sky dragon. Beyond that, it would be the divine dragon blood, which needed to be personally awakened by the dragon emperor of the Yen dragon emperor dynasty. As for the dragon king, he was the king of the divine dragon, ruling a territory. The Jiang tribe and the Ji tribe belonged to the imprisoned dragon domain, under the command of the dragon king. If this dragon warrior Zhou was a dragon warrior at the level of the dragon king, then if I devour his bones, to what extent can my divine dragon blood improve? Kong Xinmu thought to himself, but he still shook his head. No matter what, he felt that the level of the demon dragon's saliva was very high. After devouring it, the improvement he could get was even greater than the bones of a dragon warrior at the level of the dragon king. In other words, even if Kong Xinmu devoured the bones of the dragon warrior Zhou, he would not be able to improve to the level of the sky dragon's inheritance. Of course, he did not think it would be so fast. The most important thing for him now was to complete the dragon ascending 9 transformations and improve his cultivation. After helping Ji Yeshuan track down the tracks of the snow fox, the dragon coins he got should be able to buy some elixirs to improve his cultivation. This was very important to Kong Xinmu. It's an abyss. Soon, the three of them chased in the direction that the snow fox escaped and came to an extremely magnificent abyss. The dark cold current that was constantly sweeping out came from this abyss. It could be seen that there must be something special at the bottom of the abyss. The snow sky fox came here and directly jumped down into the abyss. The snow fox was naturally agile. Moreover, this snow fox's cultivation was very high, at least at the level of a sky demon. Otherwise, it would not have been able to escape Ji Yeshuan's control and come to this place. The snow fox nimbly jumped down the cliff, leaving Uncle Ya and Ji Yeshuan to stand at the edge of the cliff, their expressions uncertain. Should we go down? At this moment, Ji Yeshuan was also a little uncertain. She had transformed into a snow-white divine dragon and had already used the power of the divine dragon's blood essence to form a layer of barrier around her dragon body. Otherwise, the dark, cold currents that kept surging out would probably hurt her quite a bit. I'll go down. You guys wait here. Uncle Ya shook his head. The green mask he wore looked extremely strange in the dark light. In the next moment, he raised his hand, and the innate talent in his body, the modest wind energy, condensed into a hurricane barrier that protected Ji Yeshuan and Jiang Xinwu. After that, he leaped down the cliff. Then there was no more news. The dark cold currents kept surging out from the abyss and bombarded the hurricane barrier left by Uncle Ya. No matter how hard they tried, they could not break through. Instead, it kept Kong Xinmu in a safe state. This is too outrageous, the young girl said coldly. Kong Xinmu could tell that she was not targeting him. Instead, she seemed to be talking about the snow fox. He did not know what the snow fox had done. There was something in the snow fox's mouth. Could it be the thing that Ji Yeshuan said was too outrageous? No matter what, Kong Xinmu could only wait where he was, waiting for news from Uncle Ya. However, before he and Ji Yeshuan could receive any news from Uncle Ya, they suddenly heard the deep roar of a divine dragon coming from the abyss in front of them. After this roar, an extremely violent dark and cold current rushed up from the bottom of the cliff. Chapter 3880. The dragon's roar seemed to come from the depths of hell, and it was mixed with an unparalleled aura. It brought along a violent dark cold current. Even the hurricane barrier left behind by Uncle Ya was shattered by the dark cold current in an instant. The terrifying divine dragon's deterrence swept over from the bottom of the cliff. It was like a surging wave or a rolling dark cloud. Under this deterrence, Ji Yeshuan couldn't bear it and fainted on the edge of the cliff. Kong Xinmu was shocked when he saw this. Even Ji Yeshuan fainted from such an aura. How could he still be fine? When he came back to his senses, he found that there was a layer of devouring power protecting him. Not only did it continuously devour the dark cold current, it also blocked the divine dragon's deterrence outside. The devouring power is actually so powerful? Kong Xinmu's heart shook slightly. He carefully sensed and found that the divine dragon's deterrence was completely blocked and didn't affect him in the slightest. The genius girl, Ji Yeshuan, was caught off guard and fainted from the divine dragon's deterrence. This surprised Kong Xinmu. I wonder how Uncle Ya is. Kong Xinmu thought that since the divine dragon's deterrence and the dark cold current had no effect on him, then there was no need for him to wait on the cliff. It was better to go down and take a look. After all, His main purpose in coming to the Zhou Dragon's ruins was to find the corpse of the dragon warrior Zhou. The cliff wasn't particularly steep. With Kong Shinmu's strength, he could easily jump down bit by bit. Before long, he arrived at the bottom of the cliff. He found that this place was a burial ground. Countless corpses of demonic beasts had been buried here for an unknown period of time. The bottom of the cliff was a cemetery for demonic beasts. This was a deep pit filled with the bones of demonic beasts. When Kong Shinmu came down, he was shocked to find that even the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Uncle Ya, who was wearing a green mask, had fainted in the deep pit under the mysterious and awe-inspiring might of the divine dragon. As for the snow heavenly fox, it seemed to be holding a spiritual herb in its mouth. At this moment, it had also fallen into the deep pit, unconscious. He actually fainted. Is that divine dragon's might really that strong? Kong Shinmu felt a little strange, but he was protected by the devouring power, so he naturally couldn't feel it. Apart from the devouring power, the divine dragon's power seemed to be restrained by the divine dragon's essence and blood in his body. When it came into contact with him, it was completely blocked, unable to affect him in the slightest. No matter what, let's get the spirit herb first. Kong Shinmu had nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone had fainted anyway, so no one would know what he was doing in the field. The spiritual herb in the snow heavenly fox's mouth should be the culprit of this incident. However, Kong Shinmu didn't know what exactly was going on. However, before he could pick up the stalk of spiritual herb, the ground he was standing on began to shake violently. As far as his eyes could see, the entire pit was filled with the bones of demonic beasts, and in the middle of this huge pile of demonic beast bones, the shadow of a divine dragon had actually appeared. This is the dragon soul of a dragon warrior. Seeing this, Kong Shinmu's heart suddenly jumped. The dragon soul of a dragon warrior was a very rare thing. Only after the death of a dragon warrior above the sky dragon realm would there be a remnant of the dragon soul. The higher the level of the divine dragon's essence and blood, the longer the remnant of the dragon soul. According to the legend of the Zhou Dragon ruins, this dragon soul had existed for at least 300 years. As expected, it's at least the level of a divine dragon or above. Kong Shinmu gritted his teeth. When the dragon soul's shadow appeared, even he felt a strong pressure and kept retreating under the pressure. Gradually, the dragon soul's shadow became more and more complete. It was a terrifying existence with a body of more than 300 feet. The dragon's head was like an azura, and the pair of eyes of the dragon soul were like the eyes of hell, flickering with a cold light. The dragon soul was formed by the divine dragon's essence and blood after the death of a dragon warrior. It had a part of the obsession of the dragon warrior before death. At this moment, Kong Shinmu could clearly feel the killing intent of the dragon soul. This killing intent was aimed at all the existences that intruded into the demonic beast cemetery. Even an expert like Uncle Ya can't survive under such a dragon soul's attack. Jiang Shenwu clenched his teeth. At this time, he discovered that there were still many divine dragon skeletons in this demonic beast cemetery. These divine dragon skeletons even had heavenly dragon ranks. From the looks of it, many dragon martialists who came here to explore had died. However, for some reason, Kong Shinmu wasn't too afraid of the dragon soul. The black dragon's essence and blood flowing in his body seemed to be boiling at this moment. The devouring power condensed all over his body and formed a devouring net that swept towards the dragon's soul. It was a counterattack. The devouring power was not under Kong Shinmu's control. It suddenly counterattacked the giant dragon soul, which was beyond Kong Shinmu's expectations. Did the black dragon's essence and blood attack again? However, no sound rang out in Kong Shinmu's mind. The only time Kong Shinmu had heard the voice of the black dragon was when he encountered the demon dragon's saliva. The voice didn't appear now. Could it be that the dragon soul in front of him was not of a high enough level for it to appear? In any case, Kong Shinmu didn't have to do it himself. He watched as the devouring power formed a giant devouring net and shrouded the dragon's soul. At the point of contact between the two sides, bursts of black smoke were emitted continuously. The awe-inspiring dragon soul was actually corroded by the devouring power. After the death of the dragon warrior named Zhou, the dragon soul had an extremely fierce temperament. Just by looking at the many demonic beast bones and dragon warrior bones in the deep pit, it could be seen. However, in the face of the devouring power, it was like a little lamb that had encountered an old wolf. It had no power to resist and could only be constantly eroded by the devouring power. The terrifying Zhou dragon's soul kept struggling and roaring. The dragon's roar even spread out of the Zhou dragon's dark ruins and spread in all directions. The roar was filled with pain and despair. Some of the nearby wandering dragon warriors were terrified when they heard it. One by one, they fled to the nearby cities and didn't dare to stay outside. It can really devour the dragon's soul. I wonder where the Zhou dragon's bones are. Will they be in this deep pit? Kong Shinmu thought to himself, but he couldn't be sure. Seeing the dragon's soul being eroded by the devouring power, his thoughts shifted to other things. He quickly ran to the side of the unconscious Xueqi and took out the spirit herb from her mouth. Chapter 3881. So it's the Qi Tian spiritual grass. After Kong Shinmu took the spiritual grass, he ignored the dragon soul that was being eroded by the devouring power. Instead, he paid attention to the spiritual grass. Simply put, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was a high-grade spiritual grass used to refine elixirs. It was extremely valuable. However, it was more difficult to refine elixirs. Moreover, other spiritual grasses were required as supplementary materials. Hence, Kong Shinmu didn't need to refine elixirs. The best way to deal with it was to consume it himself. Although part of the medicinal properties would be lost if it wasn't refined into elixirs, Kong Shinmu didn't need to worry about the loss of medicinal properties. After all, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was enough for him to reach the 4th tier of the Dragon Ascending Realm. From the 4th tier onwards, the Dragon Ascending Realm was different from the previous 3 tiers. The 9 tiers of the Dragon Ascending Realm were also known as the 9 changes of the Dragon Ascending Realm. The first 3 tiers were still okay. However, the 4th tier would change a lot. However, the appearance of the divine dragon body would change a lot. As for the strength, it would increase even more. The specific changes would be different for every dragon martialist and every type of divine dragon blood essence. Kong Shinmu had never seen the black dragon blood essence that had the devouring power. Hence, he didn't know what kind of changes it would bring. However, no matter what, he had to consume the Qi Tian spiritual grass immediately. Otherwise, when Uncle Ya and Ji Yeshuan woke up, he wouldn't have a share of the Qi Tian spiritual grass. If the value of the Qi Tian spiritual grass was measured in dragon coins, it would be worth at least 1 million. No wonder they were willing to use 100,000 dragon coins to hire a wandering dragon warrior to track the Snow Sky Fox. Could it be that the Snow Sky Fox wants to consume the Qi Tian spiritual grass herself? Kong Shinmu wasn't sure if his guess was true. However, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was already in his hands. He could feel that as long as the soul of the dragon of Zhou was not completely devoured, the deterrence of the godly dragon would always be there. In other words, it would frighten Uncle Ya, Ji Yeshuan, and the Snow Fox into a coma. This created the conditions for Kong Shinmu to consume the Qi Tian spiritual grass. As for the soul of the dragon of Zhou, it would continue to exist for a short period of time. At the very least, with Kong Shinmu's current strength, he would not be able to quickly devour it. The devouring power seems to have an innate ability to restrain dragon souls. Just what kind of existence is this black dragon essence blood? Kong Shinmu shook his head and didn't think too much about it. The answer to this question could only be found when he reached an extremely powerful level. As for now, he was still in the Dragon Ascension realm. If he wanted to improve, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was a very good opportunity. It could at least save him 3 to 4 months of hard work. If he had enough spiritual grass and elixir pills, then the improvement of his cultivation would be much faster. It was a pity that the Qi Tian spiritual grass was something that even Ji Yeshuan regarded as a treasure. She was so anxious to hire a wandering dragon martial artist to chase after it. How could a mere Kong Shinmu have the means to obtain a large amount of it? Let's just swallow it first. Kong Shinmu gritted his teeth and swallowed the Qi Tian spiritual grass. He instantly chewed it and a sweet spiritual liquid flowed down his throat. The rich spiritual energy was continuously absorbed by him. Under the wrapping of the devouring power, it turned into the purest energy in his essence blood. If Ji Yeshuan were to find out that he had swallowed the Qi Tian spiritual grass, she would probably be so angry that she would kill him. It was a pity that Kong Shinmu had no other way to deal with this thing now. After swallowing it, it was a good thing that he had consumed it. If he didn't, when Uncle Ya and Ji Yeshuan woke up, he wouldn't be able to get anything. A large amount of spiritual energy flowed continuously to Kong Shinmu's entire body and integrated into his essence blood. Moreover, Due to the devouring power, the spiritual energy quickly turned into his strength and increased his cultivation. Great! Not long after, Kong Shinmu's eyes shone brightly. His entire temperament suddenly changed and he suddenly turned into a black dragon. A pair of divine dragon eyes shot out boundless golden light, illuminating the entire pitch-black pit. At this very moment, half of the dragon of Zhou's soul had been devoured by Kong Shinmu. The devouring power continued to transfer the power of the dragon of Zhou's divine dragon essence blood to Kong Shinmu, gradually increasing the grade of the black dragon essence blood. As expected, it started to move from the real dragon level to the sky dragon level. However, even after devouring the dragon of Zhou's soul, which was at least at the level of the Dragon King, the grade of Kong Shinmu's divine dragon essence blood wasn't increasing quickly. After all, the dragon of Zhou's soul had been left for a long time and most of the divine dragon's power essence had already dissipated. If it was a dragon of Zhou's soul that had just died, to be honest, Kong Shinmu didn't have the confidence to devour it. After all, his current cultivation was too weak. The vast amount of spiritual energy from the Qi Tian spiritual grass was constantly transforming the bloodline in his body. The divine dragon essence blood was also rapidly increasing under the nourishment of the dragon of Zhou's soul. At this very moment, Kong Shinmu was ushering in an extremely important transformation. Dragon Ascension Realm, 4th Tier. Kong Shinmu's black dragon form released boundless golden light from his eyes. At this moment, it flashed and disappeared. Instead, it was restrained after the breakthrough. The 4th tier of the Dragon Ascension Realm allowed him to cultivate the golden light eyes. As for what effect it had, he didn't know at the moment. However, it could be said that it was a relatively large change after his cultivation increased. As for the grade of the divine dragon essence blood, after devouring a large portion of the dragon of Zhou's soul, it increased by a lot. In order to advance from a true dragon to a sky dragon, the number of divine dragon corpses or dragon souls that one needed to devour was far too many. Even if it was the dragon soul of Zhou, after being devoured, Jiang Xinwu's progress had only increased by about a tenth. Wanting to truly transform into a sky dragon martial artist with the inheritance of sky dragon blood essence was far too difficult. Kong Shinmu didn't have much time left. He had to quickly advance and find his father Jiang Zizai, the former Jiang Longjun. Then, he had to go to the Jiang clan to establish himself in the Jiang clan and seize the position of patriarch of the Jiang clan. If Jiang Rong didn't set his sights on him, Kong Shinmu couldn't be bothered with who would be the patriarch and who would be the Jiang Longjun. But now, he had to do this to ensure the safety of his mother, Gu Yuero. 5th tier of the Dragon Ascension Realm. The spiritual energy contained in the Qi of the Qi Tian spiritual grass was really shocking. After Kong Shinmu absorbed the spiritual energy, even if he only absorbed 70% of it and wasted the rest, he could still use it to increase his cultivation by 2 tiers. Dragon Ascension 9 Transformations. 5th Transformation. During the first 3 tiers, Kong Shinmu's change wasn't very obvious. But now, every time he increased his cultivation by 1 tier, his strength would increase by a lot. The dragon claws of his black dragon form stretched out in an instant. There was an even stronger devouring power attached to them. The sharpness of the claws had actually more than doubled. Chapter 3882. Kong Shinmu had entered the 5th tier of the Dragon Ascension Realm and absorbed the soul of the Dragon of Zhou. His overall strength had increased tremendously. Compared to when he first entered the Dragon's Ruins, Kong Shinmu's strength had at least doubled. As expected of the Qi Tian spiritual grass. Even a genius like Ji Yeshuan is chasing after it. It's really extraordinary. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. The next thing would be more troublesome. Obviously, Uncle Ya and Ji Yeshuan's target was the Qi Tian spiritual grass other than the snow sky fox. Now that he had swallowed the Qi Tian spiritual grass, he had to make plans early. Before the 3 of them woke up, he had to deal with the rest. All in all, Kong Shinmu couldn't appear in front of them anymore. After all, under the pressure of the Dragon of Zhou, even Uncle Ya had fainted. If Kong Shinmu hadn't appeared, he might have been swallowed by the Dragon of Zhou. Therefore, in the eyes of Uncle Ya and Ji Yeshuan, it was impossible for a wandering dragon warrior like him to survive. Continue swallowing. Kong Shinmu observed the Dragon of Zhou and realized that he had already swallowed 2/3 of the Dragon of Zhou. The divine dragon's pressure was gradually weakening. He knew that he didn't have much time left and had to make preparations quickly. The essence of the dragon of Zhou's soul continued to flow into his body and fuse into his divine dragon blood essence. But he continued to climb up the cliff, bringing with him the skeleton of a true dragon's martial artist who had inherited the true dragon's legacy. In the deep pit, there were too many corpses like this. Jiang Xinwu picked one of the corpses and threw it to the top of the cliff, placing it beside the unconscious girl, Ji Yeshuan. Whether it was Ji Yeshuan, Uncle Ya or the Snow Sky Fox, they were all at least in the divine martial realm. Kong Xinmu couldn't kill all of them now. Even if they couldn't resist, Kong Xinmu couldn't kill Uncle Ya. Since there would definitely be survivors, there was no need to kill any of them. He just had to pretend that he was dead. Kong Xinmu carefully handled everything. After devouring the soul of the Dragon of Zhou, he directly left the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins. When he came out, because he had just devoured the power of the Dragon of Zhou's soul, the dragon might on his body was extremely terrifying. Even heaven demons were afraid of him at this moment and did not dare to attack him. However, as time passed, the aura of the Dragon of Zhou's soul grew weaker and weaker. This was because the Dragon of Zhou's soul was gradually digested by Kong Xinmu and turned into nutrients for his divine dragon blood essence. Fortunately, when the aura of the Dragon of Zhou's soul completely dissipated, he had already left the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins, and did not head in the direction of the desolate dragon city. He changed his direction and headed towards the territory ruled by another tribe. At the same time, when he passed by a village, he quietly changed his clothes and cut his hair short. He even made a scar on his face. Changing his appearance was something that had to be done. At least for the time being, he could not appear anywhere with his original identity. Otherwise, it was very likely that he would attract the attention of Ji Yeshuan and the Ji tribe. After all, the Ji tribe was very powerful and their overall strength was stronger than the Jiang tribe. If the corpse that he prepared next to Ji Yeshuan could not fool her, then after changing his appearance, it would not be easy for her to find him. Just after Kong Xinmu left the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins, Uncle Ya, who had the highest cultivation, was the first to wake up in the deep pit. The first thing he noticed was himself. He realized that he did not suffer any attacks and his body was completely unharmed. Speaking of which, although Kong Xinmu had consumed their Qi Tian spiritual grass, he had indirectly saved his life. However, this was something that Uncle Ya would never know. He was just curious. He was clearly knocked out by the divine dragon's deterrence. Why didn't he feel any aura after waking up? Then, he saw the snow celestial fox that was very close to him. The snow celestial fox's strength was weaker, so it did not wake up so quickly. However, the Qi Tian spiritual grass in its mouth had disappeared, which made Uncle Ya frown slightly. If the Qi Tian spiritual grass was gone, wouldn't their trip be in vain? Although they had found the snow celestial fox, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was the reason why the snow celestial fox ran away. As for the specific reason, the snow celestial fox actually wanted to devour the Qi Tian spiritual grass, so it stole the Qi Tian spiritual grass from Ji Yeshuan and escaped to the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins. Although Ji Yeshuan could not completely control the snow celestial fox, with the talent of beasts, she could sense that the snow celestial fox had escaped to the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins. However, she could not sense the specific location in the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins because the interference of the aura of the Dragon of Zhou's soul in the Dragon of Zhou's nether ruins was too strong. What is going on? Uncle Ya still did not understand the overall situation. He carried the snow celestial fox with one hand and carefully checked the entire deep pit. He did not find anything suspicious, so he turned around and jumped up the cliff. After jumping up, he heaved a sigh of relief because he realized that nothing had happened to Ji Yeshuan. She was only temporarily unconscious. As long as Ji Yeshuan was fine. However, when Uncle Ya saw the bones of the real dragon beside the girl, he subconsciously frowned. Did this brat die here? That made sense. Although this brat was a dragon warrior with the inheritance of the real dragon, his cultivation was too weak. Even if he had some means to follow them here, under the previous situation, even he and Ji Yeshuan were knocked out. It was normal that this brat could not withstand it. However, why did this brat turn into bones right after he died? Did something devour the body of the divine dragon? This did not make sense. Uncle Ya shook his head. His face under the green mask did not show much emotion. To him, no matter how strange this brat was, he was just a wandering dragon warrior. Although he found it strange that this brat's body was only left with bones, the Qi Tian spiritual grass was definitely not related to this brat. After all, Even he was shocked by the power of the divine dragon. It was a pity that he did not know what happened after he was knocked out. Looking at the many bones of the divine dragon and demonic beasts in the deep pit, what killed them all? Could it be the remnant dragon soul of the legendary dragon warrior, Zhou? If that was the case, why did the dragon soul not kill him and Ji Yeshuan? There were still doubts in everything. However, it was good that Ji Yeshuan was fine. The snow celestial fox was also found. Although the Qi Tian spiritual grass was gone, it was not a big loss overall. However, Miss would probably be very angry now, right? Chapter 3883. Dragon Prison Domain. Dragon Prison City. After Kong Xinmu left the vicinity of desolate Dragon City, he headed directly towards Dragon Prison City. After 7 days, he finally arrived at this extremely magnificent city. Dragon Prison City was one of the regions of the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Both the Jiang tribe and the Ji tribe were part of Dragon Prison City. And in the entire Dragon Prison City, there were more than 10 tribal territories like the Ji tribe. Kong Xinmu had to take the main road to reach Dragon Prison City safely. Dragon Prison City was the main city of Dragon Prison City. In Dragon Prison City lived the Dragon King of the Dragon Prison City. He would not easily appear in front of the world, but once he did, earth-shattering events would occur. For example, the last time the Dragon King of the Dragon Prison City appeared, it was when a clan in the Dragon Prison City attempted to leave the Dragon Prison City and merge with another dragon prison. In a fit of rage, the enslaved Dragon King slaughtered everyone from the patriarch to the elders of that clan, leaving not a single one alive. From then on, no clan attempted to leave the enslaved dragon domain. Even an existence like Kong Xinmu's father, Jiang Longjun, was nothing in front of the Dragon King. One could imagine how terrifying and tyrannical his strength was. Of course, this was also because Jiang Zizai had been missing for 10 years. If Jiang Zizai had continued to cultivate during these 10 years, he might not be inferior to the prisoner Dragon King. However, this could only be said to be a pity. After all, Jiang Zizai had been missing for 10 years, and no one knew where he was now. The reason why he chose to come to Dragon Prison City was because Kong Xinmu knew that it was a holy land for dragon warriors. Whether it was the Jiang clan or the Ji clan, the geniuses or ordinary dragon warriors of these clans would come to Dragon Prison City to train. They would spar with other dragon warriors to improve their strength. The competition here was fierce, but there were also endless opportunities. Clans like the Jiang tribe or the Ji tribe had their own inherited dragon martial techniques. But in Dragon Prison City, there were many more dragon martial techniques to choose from. As long as a dragon martial artist had the corresponding talent and strength, they would be able to create endless possibilities in Dragon Prison City. At the very least, Dragon Prison City would not be as chaotic as desolate Dragon City, where even the trading of Yao cores would have to be hidden for fear of being discovered. To put it bluntly, although Kong Xinmu had quite a lot of beast cores on him, which were worth at least several thousand dragon coins, there really wasn't anyone in Dragon Prison City who would care about this bit of wealth. That was because there were just too many experts in Dragon Prison City. Standing in front of Dragon Prison City, Kong Xinmu realized how vast this world was and how magnificent this city was. In the past, the Jiang clan's royal palace was located in the Dragon City of the Great Jiang. It was located in the middle of the mountain range. It was a grand place with tens of thousands of dragon warriors flying in the sky. It was an impressive sight. However, after coming to Dragon Prison City, Great River Dragon City paled in comparison. This was a vast city that was at least 100 times larger than the Great River Dragon City. Moreover, the number of dragon warriors gathered here ranged from ordinary dragons to true dragons to heavenly dragons. There were countless of them. Even existences of the sacred dragon level would appear here. The entire Dragon Prison City was filled with mighty dragon might. One could feel the gathered aura of the divine dragon from 1,000 miles away. It made countless demonic beasts retreat and intimidated the evil spirits. The might of the Dragon King was like a golden light sprinkling on the earth. Everything appeared transcendent. Dragon Prison City. I've finally arrived. Kong Xinmu's chest was filled with lofty sentiments. Even though he only had the inheritance of a true dragon, and his cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Dragon Ascension realm, he was confident that he could fight for his own world here. Moreover, he was very clear that the triennial clan martial competition in the Dragon Prison domain was coming soon. At the clan martial competition, young geniuses from the Jiang clan, Ji clan, and even some other clans, who had become a dragon warrior in the last 3 years, would be able to participate in the clan martial competition. The winner would be rewarded by the sacred dragon expert, and might even be granted an audience with the Dragon King. The Zhang clan, Ji clan, and other clans' dragon martial skill inheritances came from the clan martial competition. After the clan martial competition, the clans that performed well would be able to obtain various dragon martial skills and even dragon weapons as rewards. These things were all important parts of a dragon warrior's strength, so every clan attached great importance to the clan martial competition. Unfortunately, since Zhang Zizai's disappearance, the overall strength of the Zhang clan had been deteriorating. In the 3 consecutive clan martial competitions, the Zhang clan's ranking was getting lower and lower. It was even almost at the bottom of the 17 clans in the dragon prison domain. The clans could be said to be the basic unit in charge of the various regions under the dragon prison domain. But to the Dragon King, the 17 clans were only his subordinates, and could barely be considered as a place to select talents. In the eyes of the Dragon King, he actually looked down on those clans. Ever since Zhang Zizai's disappearance 10 years ago, no one could enter the eyes of the Dragon King. In recent years, only Ji Yeshuan from the Ji clan could be considered a genius. But there was no lack of geniuses like Ji Yeshuan and Zhang Zizai in the dragon prison city. Almost every year, there would be several such geniuses appearing. Therefore, the clan martial competition was not a big deal in the dragon prison city. But to the 17 clans in the dragon prison domain, it was a matter of the utmost importance to the development of the entire clan. When Kong Xinmu came to the dragon prison city, he wanted to compete with geniuses and climb up through the competition. If he stayed in the Zhang clan, it would be too difficult to come into contact with stronger existences. Moreover, if Kong Xinmu wanted to improve, one of the ways was to devour the corpses of true dragons and above. In a small place like the Zhang clan or desolate dragon city, such an opportunity was hard to come by. But in the dragon prison city, even true dragon martial artists would die outside every day, their corpses exposed in the wilderness. To Kong Xinmu, even if he was careful, he could easily find the corpses of powerful dragon martial artists in the vicinity of the dragon prison city. But if he only relied on picking up corpses for a living, then Kong Xinmu was too useless. Right now, his cultivation base was already at the 5th layer of the dragon ascension realm. Furthermore, the divine dragon's essence blood inheritance of the true dragon level was not considered too weak in dragon prison city. The grade of the divine dragon's essence blood inheritance was roughly in the middle, and his battle prowess at the 5th layer of the dragon ascension realm was considered relatively strong. With the existence of the devouring power, Kong Xinmu's ability to adapt to the environment was very strong, even surpassing some heavenly dragon martial artists. Chapter 3884. Genius 1 Second Remember Love? Go. Saga Net, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Kong Xinmu finally stepped into Dragon Prison City. On the streets, there were all kinds of dragon warriors walking. Occasionally, there would be super experts of the divine dragon's inheritance walking through the middle of the street. Wherever they went, people would give way to them. Their attitudes were respectful, and their expressions were filled with envy and respect. Only when one's talent reached a certain level, and caught the eye of the Yen Dragon Emperor during the ceremony of the Yen Dragon Emperor, would the Yen Dragon Emperor personally bestow them with the divine dragon's inheritance blood essence. In the ordinary Yen Dragon ritual, even the most talented genius could only receive the divine dragon's inheritance blood essence. This was the rule set by the Yen Dragon Emperor. It had been so for thousands of years and had never changed. There's still 6 months until the clan tournament. In these 6 months, if I can become strong enough and obtain the recognition of a certain Lord Sacred Dragon from Dragon Prison City in the clan martial competition, I will be able to redeem some face for the Zhang clan. Moreover, that Zhang Rong will not dare to do anything excessive to me, nor will he dare to disrespect my mother. That was the thought that existed in Kong Xinmu's heart. Now that the Zhang clan's situation was deteriorating, if he could stand out, he would undoubtedly achieve some of his goals. At least, his goal was to become stronger than Zhang Liuxue in these 6 months. In this year's clan tournament, Zhang Liuxue could be considered as the Zhang clan's trump card. But there were definitely other clans like her, and there were more than one. Furthermore, because the clan tournament was held once every 3 years, the geniuses who had become dragon warriors in the past 2 years would also participate in this year's clan tournament. In the past 2 years, the Zhang clan had not produced a divine dragon's inheritance dragon warrior, but in the other clans, there would be one every year. This was the biggest difference between the Jiang clan and the other clans. Jiang Liuxue was very strong, but in the dragon cage domain, she was not a terrifying existence. In fact, in the eyes of a genius like Ji Yeshuan, she was still a relatively weak existence. Ji Yeshuan probably wouldn't be participating in the clan martial competition this time because she'd participated in the previous clan martial competition, and she'd already attracted the attention of quite a few formidable existences of the divine dragon's inheritance. It was even to the extent that Uncle Ye was the guardian that one of the experts of the divine dragon's inheritance had arranged for her. No matter what, if Kong Xinmu wanted to show his face in the clan martial competition, he would need to work hard to improve himself within these 6 months. Fortunately, his advantage over others was that he could also cultivate at night. As long as he had enough Yao Dan to devour, he didn't need to rest. So if it was 6 months for others, it was actually 8 or 9 months for him. While others were resting, he used the time to cultivate. Naturally, his progress was much faster than others. However, cultivation also required resources. Furthermore, after his cultivation level increased, he needed to constantly fight to familiarize himself with his own strength. Therefore, it was impossible for Kong Xinmu to always stay in one place and not appear. He still needed to walk around and gain experience. The place he chose was the Demon Hunters Association. The Demon Hunters Association was an organization that specialized in hunting demon beasts in the Dragon Cage City. Every day, they would issue all kinds of missions to hunt demon beasts. Through hunting demon beasts, they would obtain points exclusive to the Demon Hunters Association, which could be exchanged for corresponding items. Dragon martial skills, dragon weapons, elixirs, and so on were all available. Moreover, the grade was extremely high. This was the place that Kong Xinmu wanted to go to. Furthermore, the Demon Hunters Association also provided services such as Yao Dan, which could be exchanged for dragon coins or other items. This provided convenience for many dragon warriors. The Demon Hunters Association did not only exist in the Dragon Cage City of the Dragon Cage domain, but also in other regions of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. There was a Demon Hunters Association in every main city, so this organization had a strong background. Its headquarters was set up in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty imperial capital. Even Dragon King Qiu did not dare to do anything to the Demon Hunters Association. This was also the reason why Jiang Xinwu had chosen the Demon Hunters Association. At least this place was more fair. There would be no swindling and cheating, and there would also be no robbery or backstabbing. It was well received by the majority of the dragon martial artists. Kong Xinmu arrived at the entrance of the Demon Hunters Association. This was an extremely magnificent building. The scale of the Demon Hunters Association's branch in Dragon Cage City was comparable to the grandest Jiang clan ancestral temple in the Dragon City of the Great River. In fact, it was even larger than the Jiang clan ancestral temple. The entire Demon Hunters Association was divided into several regions, mainly according to the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence and cultivation level. The Mortal Dragon region, the True Dragon region, the Heavenly Dragon region, and even the Sacred Dragon region. There were 4 regions in total. Each region was divided into 4 levels. The first level was for Dragon Ascension Realm cultivators, the second level was for Divine Martial Arts Realm cultivators, and the third level was for Nirvana Tribulation Realm cultivators. As for the 4th level, only Dragon King Qiu was qualified to step into the Dragon Cage City. Therefore, for ordinary dragon warriors, the Demon Hunters Association was divided into 3 regions and 3 levels. Depending on the level of existence, one would have to go to a region and a level. There were few exceptions. Kong Xinmu stepped straight into the first level of the True Dragon region. Currently, he could only accept some Demon Hunters tasks in this place. As he was a newcomer, he could not accept them alone. He had to find others to form a team before he could officially start the task. However, before that, he first chose to sell all the monster cores he had. Although monster cores were equivalent to his life, he had so many monster cores that he could not use up. He still had dozens of demonized monster cores he had obtained in the stone forest, which was enough for him to use for a while. Therefore, he would sell the remaining monster cores and convert them into his own strength first. This time, Kong Xinmu directly took out 400 or 500 monster cores, among which the highest was the monster core of a 7th-level earth demon. The fact that Kong Xinmu, a young dragon warrior at the 5th level of the Dragon Ascension realm, could take out so many monster cores was somewhat beyond the expectations of the Demon Hunters Association. However, this kind of thing had happened before, so it did not attract too much attention. After some calculations, Kong Shinmu obtained a total of 3,500 dragon coins. With these dragon coins, he could buy some medicinal pills to further improve his cultivation level. In the Demon Hunters Association's list of products, Kong Shinmu chose some relatively common medicinal pills. Of course, even the common medicinal pills here were much better than the Earth Spiritual pills he had taken in Desolate Dragon City. Earth Spiritual pills were the most basic level 9 medicinal pills. But now, what Kong Shinmu bought was a level 7 medicinal pill. Although he spent 3,000 dragon coins to get one, the effect of this Spirit Line pill was more than 10 times better than the previous bottle of Earth Spiritual pills. In terms of price to price, the price to price of a Spirit Line pill was several times that of the bottle of Earth Spiritual pills. Kong Shinmu definitely did not suffer a loss. Chapter 3885. With the remaining 500 dragon coins, Kong Shinmu rented a small room in the Monster Hunters Association to take the Spirit Line pill and try to break through to the 6th level of the Dragon Ascension realm. In terms of safety, there was no place safer than this in the entire Dragon City. If there was, it would definitely be the City Lord's mansion. The Spiritual Line pill is made from 18 precious medicinal ingredients and the blood essence of 2 special demonic beasts. Each Spiritual Line pill contains a vast amount of spiritual qi. Most importantly, the medicinal efficacy of the Spiritual Line pill can strengthen the body of the divine dragon to a certain extent, which is useful to me. Kong Shinmu thought as he sat cross-legged in the small room. Although it was only a small room, it was enough for him as long as no one disturbed him. Moreover, every small room in the Monster Hunters Association had an array. Under the effect of the array, not only could others not enter the small room, there would not be any sound from the outside world, and it also had an effect of gathering spiritual energy in the surroundings. The effect of gathering spiritual energy was quite good. At least, it was not much different from the effect of the cultivation tower of the Zhang clan. Even in the higher level rooms, the effect of the Spirit Line gathering array was even stronger. Because of this, just renting this small room for 3 days required 500 dragon coins, which could be considered very extravagant. Kong Shinmu spent 3 months to obtain those monster cores, which added up to a value of 5,000 dragon coins. In total, he could only stay in this small room for a month. It was clear that his earning speed was still too slow. Of course, that was when he was at the 2nd layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Now that his cultivation base had improved, his hunting speed had certainly increased a lot. But even so, it was still too far-fetched for him to surpass Zhang Liuxue in 6 months. He had to work harder. The subsequent training in the Demon Hunters Association would determine what level he could reach after 6 months. But no matter what, Zhang Shenwu still had a minimum requirement. At the very least, he had to try and see if he could break through to the divine martial arts realm. In order to achieve this goal, he had to rely on fortuitous encounters. For example, when he followed Ji Yeshuan to the Dragon Nether Ruins, he coincidentally found the Qitian spirit grass. This was something that even Ji Yeshuan was jealous of, and it allowed him to jump 2 levels of cultivation. This kind of opportunity could only be encountered by chance. Even some dragon warriors of the divine dragon rank would appear to fight for the Qitian spirit grass. It could be said that if it wasn't for a particularly fortuitous encounter, Kong Shinmu would never have such an opportunity. For the current Kong Shinmu, a Spirit Line pill was already a pretty good thing. He had to spend 2 months hunting demonic beasts in the Heaven Drive Forest to exchange for a Spirit Line pill. However, the medicinal power contained in the Spirit Line pill was far inferior to the Qitian spirit grass. It was less than 1% of the Qitian spirit grass. Of course, this did not mean that 100 Spirit Line pills were equivalent to a single Qitian spirit grass. After taking the same pill many times, it would produce some antibodies, causing the effect to continuously decline. Moreover, the greatest value of the Qitian spirit grass was not to be taken directly. If the Qitian spirit grass was refined into a pill, its value would definitely be 1,000 times more expensive than the Spirit Line pill. An item worth 3 million dragon coins, even for the Zhang clan, was a huge sum of money. The main reason was that such an item was rarely used by ordinary cultivators. Rather than spending 3 million dragon coins to buy such a pill, it was better to buy other cultivation resources, which would play a much greater role for the entire tribe. After all, after taking the pill, only an individual's strength would increase, and it would not increase the overall strength of the Zhang clan. Unless it was a peerless genius, An individual's increase in martial arts realm would not affect the strength of the entire Jiang clan. After Kong Xinmu took the spirit line pill, he felt a wave of spiritual energy directly spread throughout his body. It soaked into the divine dragon blood essence, and was quickly absorbed by the divine dragon blood essence. Just this little spiritual energy. Kong Xinmu was somewhat disappointed. Compared to the Qitian spirit grass, the difference was too great. To rely on a spirit line pill to increase from the 5th to the 6th level of the Dragon Ascension realm was basically impossible, and he could not even reach 1/10 of the progress. To rely on pills to increase one's cultivation, the financial resources needed were not just a little bit. Moreover, taking pills to increase one's cultivation was relatively superficial. If one did not spend time to consolidate it, compared to the natural cultivation strength of other dragon warriors, there would be a big difference. So even if one had money, it was difficult to quickly increase one's cultivation. It had to be accompanied by cultivation consolidation and accumulation. Kong Xinmu had taken the Qitian spirit grass and directly increased his cultivation by 2 levels. There were some signs of this. The strength in his body was not as strong as that of an ordinary dragon warrior in the 5th level of the Dragon Ascension realm. If he wanted to consolidate it, he would have to experience enough battles, or meditate for nearly a month. Kong Xinmu did not have that much time to meditate, so the method he chose was to fight. After the medicinal efficacy of the spirit line pill is digested, it's time to go to the Demon Hunters Association to gain experience. Kong Xinmu thought like this, and decided to cultivate in this small room for 3 days. After all, he had rented a small room for 3 days, so he could not casually waste it. Relying on the spirit gathering array to increase his strength was a very real power, and did not need to be consolidated. Even if he cultivated in the small room, he could properly consolidate his previous rapid increase in cultivation. 3 days later, Kong Xinmu finally left the Demon Hunters Association. His cultivation had not stepped into the 6th level of the Dragon Ascension realm, and was even far from it. After accepting a mission to hunt demonic beasts from the Demon Hunters Association, he followed a Demon Hunters team to the outskirts of the Dragon Prison City. Outside the Dragon Prison City, there were many places where demonic beasts gathered, but they were relatively far away from the Dragon Prison City, and the demonic beasts there were relatively stronger. Compared to the demonic beasts in the heaven-driving forest, the demonic beasts around the Dragon Prison City did not display their profound cultivation, but mainly displayed their strong bloodline. It was similar to the inheritance of the blood essence of a mortal dragon and a true dragon, and the blood essence of a true dragon and a heavenly dragon. The bloodline of the demonic beasts around the Dragon Prison City was generally much stronger, resulting in the demon cores obtained from hunting them to be much more precious. This time, Kong Xinmu's Demon Hunters Association had a total of 8 people, and all of them were inheritors of the blood essence of a true dragon. The Demon Hunters Association mission they had accepted was to hunt a powerful demonic beast equivalent to the blood essence of a heavenly dragon, and it was an 8th level earth demon. Among the entire Demon Hunters Association, Kong Xinmu's cultivation was the weakest, but the atmosphere in the Demon Hunters Association was still harmonious, and there were no quarrels. In fact, it could be said that Kong Xinmu was forced into this group, because they were short of people, and the demonic beast was about to leave, so in a relatively rushed situation, they could only randomly pick one. Chapter 3886. This was the first time Kong Xinmu went out to hunt demon beasts after coming to Dragon Prison City. The atmosphere of the entire Demon Hunter team was very harmonious. After going out, the team leader took out 200 dragon coins and rented a beast carriage. The carriage carried the 8 people towards the target location of the mission. The objective of this mission is to hunt down an earth demon that is recuperating. This earth demon's bloodline is rather pure. It is the descendant of a vermilion bird, which is equivalent to the inherited blood essence of a heavenly dragon. The temporary team leader of the Demon Hunter team was called Kong Ci. He was a rather forthright middle-aged man with a large beard. He had the inherited blood essence of a true dragon, and his cultivation was at the 8th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. He could be considered the main force of the entire Demon Hunter team. Wow, it's actually the bloodline of a vermilion bird. Although it's only an 8th layer earth demon and is injured, the pure bloodline already explains everything. A cute girl became excited when she heard this. After all, demon beasts with the bloodline of a vermilion bird were very rare. She had never seen one before. Her name was Shi Yutong, and she was a twin sister with an indifferent girl called Shi Yueying. Both of them had the cultivation base of the 7th level of Dragon Ascension realm. As for what kind of innate power they inherited, it was temporarily unknown. The other members of the team also introduced themselves. Kong Shinmu noted down their names one by one and told them his real name. In Dragon Prisoner City, the name Zhang Shenwu was not something that could not be used. Zhang Rong's men would not be able to find their way here. Even if they did, they would not dare to act recklessly. After all, this was not the great Zhang Dragon City, nor the Zhang clan, but the main city of the Dragon Prison Domain, Dragon Prisoner City. Even if Zhang Rong was the patriarch of the Zhang clan, it was impossible for him to do anything to Kong Shinmu in Dragon Prison City. The entire Demon Hunter team had a total of 8 people. The others were considered normal, but there was a youth dressed in rags who basically did not speak much. This made Kong Shinmu feel a little strange. It must be known that Kong Shinmu was considered a person of few words, but this ragged youth spoke even less than him. Moreover, there was a touch of coldness in his eyes. Being stared at by him made one feel as if a cold wind had blown past. After boarding the beast carriage, the ragged youth introduced himself. His name was simply Xueqi, and his cultivation was at the 8th layer of the Dragon Ascension realm. Then he did not say a word. On the other hand, the cute girl called Shi Yutong looked to be in her 20s. She was very lively, and not long after, everyone in the Demon Hunter team became familiar with each other, and also had a certain understanding of the dragon martial skill that each of them cultivated. Since they were going to fight together, for the sake of better coordination, everyone had to first state their position. For example, if they cultivated the body-refining dragon martial skill, they would take the initiative to take on more responsibilities and take the initiative to fight head-on. If they cultivated a body-type dragon beasts, then they could take the position of a scout and become the team's eyes. The demon beast descendant with part of the vermilion bird's bloodline was recuperating in the broken lava mountain range. The temperature there was relatively high. If the innate ability of a dragon warrior was ice, then the power that they could exert would be limited. But if it was a fire attribute innate ability, then it would be better. Riding the beast carriage, they could reach a small town at the edge of the broken lava mountain range. Then they would leave the small town and enter the broken lava mountain range. The Demon Hunters Association had received news that the demonic beast named Heavenly Firebird was recuperating in the Lava Break mountain range due to its injuries. However, this should only be temporary. In less than a day, the Heavenly Firebird would leave the Lava Break mountain range. After all, it was a demon beast with part of the vermilion bird's bloodline. It would not stay in a place like the broken lava mountain range for long. There must be a gathering place for demon beasts with the same bloodline. As for where that gathering place was, no one knew. Maybe it was far away, maybe it was in a corner of the Dragon Prison Domain, but definitely not in the Dragon Prison City. Otherwise, the demon beast gathering place would have already been destroyed by the experts of the Dragon Prison City. Although the 8 of them could fly in dragon transformation, the journey was long, and flying would consume a lot of energy. So they chose to ride the beast carriage. Fortunately, the speed of the beast carriage was very fast. The demon beast pulling the carriage was a tamed Shadow's Talk horse. Every Shadow's Talk horse was at least a heavenly demon when it matured. Right now, a heavenly demon-level Shadow's Talk horse was pulling the beast carriage at its fastest speed. As for the one controlling the Shadow's Talk horse, it was a divine martial realm dragon warrior. However, this dragon warrior had been injured and was not suited for battle. So he became a logistics member of the Demon Hunter Association. The speed of the Shadow's Talk horse was not much slower than the dragon transformation. In just 2 hours, they had already traversed thousands of miles. Everyone could already see the small town at the foot of the lava mountain range in the distance. Be careful on the road. After entering the small town and leaving behind these words, the dragon warrior who was controlling the Shadow Stalker horse went off to do other things. The 8 people of the Demon Hunter Association made some preparations before heading towards the broken lava mountain range. The Demon Hunter Association had already marked out the place where the Heavenly Firebird was being healed. It was a wandering dragon warrior who found it. However, whether the Heavenly Firebird was still there was unknown. You two go ahead and scout. The rest of you be careful. There are many fire attribute demon beasts in the broken lava mountain range. Don't let your guard down. As the captain, Kong Ci was the one who decided the actions of the entire team. He was very experienced in hunting demon beasts. The team moved quickly. There were many dragon warriors who entered the broken lava mountain range to hunt demon beasts. They were only one of them. However, to reach the place where the heavenly firebird was healed, they had to go deeper. They had to go there as fast as possible. Why don't we transform into dragons and fly there? A member of the team suggested. It's not impossible. Anyway, we only have one demon beast to hunt. If we fly there, there won't be any demon beasts that don't have eyes to stop us. Let's do it this way. However, everyone be careful and pay attention to your surroundings. In the next moment, everyone transformed into dragons. 8 divine dragons, each more than 300 feet long, appeared at the edge of the broken lava mountain range. They flew towards the top of the fiery red mountain range. The surging dragon might caused many demon beasts nearby to retreat. However, the 8 of them had only flown about 20 miles into the broken lava mountain range when they suddenly saw traces of several dragon warriors in dragon transformation. Ha! Kong Ci frowned when he saw the situation. When he saw the appearance of the dragon martialists, his expression changed drastically. Run! Chapter 3887. Kong Shinmu did not know the identity of the dragon warriors. But just as Kong Ci shouted the word quick, the dragon warriors flew towards them at high speed. The dragon warriors all had an extremely strong killing intent, as if they wanted to kill Kong Shinmu and the others. Sensing the strong killing intent from the other party, not only the temporary leader Kong Ci, but the other members of the small team also quickly turned around and retreated as fast as they could. The divine dragon soared in the sky. The killing intent was spreading from afar. Jiang Shenwu and the others clearly knew that they were absolutely no match for the dragon warriors on the other side. This was because among the dragon warriors on the other side, there was actually a dragon warrior who had inherited the heavenly dragon's blood essence. Moreover, it was a powerful existence in the divine martial realm. If they were no match for them, they could only escape. This is the blood-red shadow, an executioner who specializes in killing our hunter teams. Who would have thought that they would appear in the lava mountains? Kong Ci gritted his teeth, looking very angry. We are not as fast as them. The young girl, Shi Yutong, was a little panicked. Of course, she had heard of the name of Blood Red Shadow. It was a notorious bandit group near Dragon Prison City. It was said that Dragon Prison City had launched many attacks, but the Blood Red Shadow had always escaped. Who would have thought that they would meet them here? Don't worry, follow me, I am very familiar with the lava mountains. After Kong Ci said this, his divine dragon body suddenly twisted, and he flew towards the mountains below, quickly disappearing into a valley crack, giving everyone a glimmer of hope. Kong Shinmu and the others naturally followed closely, but during this time, Kong Shinmu frowned slightly. The situation did not seem right. It was not that there was something wrong with the blood-red shadow appearing here, but if the blood-red shadow were to appear, why would it be such a small fry, and why would it rob a low-level hunter team like them? It was said that the leader of the blood-red shadow was a super expert of the same level as the Dragon King, and he did not have many subordinates. Logically speaking, he would not appear in a place like this. But in any case, it was a fact that someone was chasing Kong Shinmu. Whether the other party was the Crimson Shadow or not, he could only escape. Judging from Kong Ci's words, he seemed to have a deep understanding of the lava mountain range. However, Kong Shinmu thought of another possibility. If Kong Ci was in cahoots with the pursuers, wouldn't that be terrible? I have to be careful. Kong Shinmu reminded himself as he followed behind Kong Ci. The group of 8 followed closely behind Kong Ci's dragon body and entered the valley crack. Then he kept twisting and turning in the valley's crevice, and very soon, he had left his pursuers in the dust. Hoo-hoo, we're finally safe. Shi Yutong turned back into her human form and heaved a sigh of relief. Her sweaty appearance was very cute. Her sister, Shi Yueying, was still cold. She turned back into her human form from the ice divine dragon and stood beside Shi Yutong, looking around. This was a chaotic and complicated terrain within the lava mountain range. From time to time, some flames and magma would appear and erupt from the rocks nearby, but the power was not strong for the many dragon warriors. This place was deserted, which made Kong Shinmu even more vigilant. Just when everyone was heaving a sigh of relief, a sudden change occurred. From the direction of the entrance of the valley, a group of dragon warriors transformed into divine dragon bodies and suddenly appeared. Ice, fire and hurricane, These three kinds of talents were activated in the form of dragon martial techniques, shrouding everyone in an instant. Run! It was obvious that the 5 dragon warriors had caught up with them. Everyone panicked and wanted to escape from the other exit of the valley. But unfortunately, there were already people guarding the exit of the valley. The team leader, Xueqi, stood in the direction of the valley's exit. Xueqi, the silent young man in tattered clothes, stood beside him. Both of them stood there quietly, expressionless. Xueqi, what are you doing? Xueqi was surprised. Quickly bring us out of here. There's no need to say anything. Can't you tell? Xueqi said coldly. Without hesitation, she transformed into her divine dragon form. A 300 feet long ice divine dragon appeared. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew through the entire valley. It was as if winter had arrived. The wind and snow scattered, freezing the flames and magma near the valley. Xueqi attacked without hesitation. The dragon martial skill, Sunset Snowfall, brought with it a blizzard, and fell towards Xueqi and Xueqi. Haha, amazing! Xueqi, the middle-aged man, laughed heartily. He did not feel guilty for doing evil. He was already prepared for battle. He turned into his dragon form and was ready to receive Xueqi's attack. He did not need to defeat Xueqi. He only needed to delay her for a while. Soon, the 5 experts behind would be able to kill everyone in the field. Then, they would take away their belongings and complete a beautiful robbery. There would definitely be a lot of gains. To be on the safe side, Xueqi had brought along young dragon martial artists who were not very strong this time. Although these guys would be less profitable, the risk was also much lower, and there would not be any repercussions after killing them. There was no suspense in the battle. The other members of the team also transformed into their divine dragon forms and attacked Xueqi and Xueqi. In their eyes, Xueqi and Xueqi were relatively easy to deal with. Compared to the 5 people behind them, there was actually a divine martial arts realm cultivator. This was not someone they could deal with. As for the demon hunting mission that they had accepted, it had long been thrown to the back of everyone's minds. The only thing they needed to do now was to stay alive. The 5 people united and launched a fierce attack on Xueqi and Xueqi. Even the girl Xueqi suddenly reacted after the sisters attacked. She also turned into a dragon and attacked the two. Only Xinmu did not pay attention to Xueqi and Xueqi, because he had to stop the 5 people behind them. In this case, he hoped to choose to deal with Xueqi and Xueqi. That way, it would be easier for him to break through and escape. But the other 5 people all chose to deal with Xueqi, so he could only stop the 5 people behind them. In this way, there was still a chance of survival. Otherwise, if all of them went to deal with Xueqi and Xueqi, the people behind them would attack and everyone would be finished. 5 true dragons, one of which is at the first level of the divine martial realm. It's too strong. I'm afraid I can't withstand it. I have to swallow enough monster cores to save my life. Chapter 3888. Xinmu's actions surprised Xueqi, Xueqi, and the others. With his current cultivation base, wouldn't he be courting death if he were to fight against those 5 powerful dragon warriors? However, if it wasn't for Xinmu, all of them would be in danger. For a moment, the 2 girls started to admire Xinmu. After all, there weren't many people in this world who could think of others at such a time. A fierce battle was about to break out. Xueqi, Xueqi, and the other 3 dragon warriors all transformed into divine dragons and charged towards Xueqi and Xueqi. Only Xinmu alone held back the 5 pursuers. Among the 5 dragon warriors, the leader was also a black dragon. His innate talent was the power of corrosion, and he had already stepped into the divine martial realm. Seeing Xinmu charging towards him, he couldn't help but laugh in anger. Could it be that in this kid's eyes, he was an easy target? Kill him! Black Dragon, who was at the divine martial realm, roared and led his 4 subordinates to attack Xinmu. All kinds of dragon martial skills condensed from their innate abilities caused the entire mountain valley crack to become like a natural disaster. Xinmu transformed into a black dragon alone and broke into this natural disaster. At the same time, he swallowed a 7th-tier demonized monster core, and a surge of demonic chi flowed into his black dragon body along with the power of devouring. In the next moment, ice, fire, and hurricane erupted at the same time, shrouding Xinmu's black dragon body. The terrifying destructive power almost tore him apart. Fortunately, he had just swallowed a demonized monster core, and the endless power of the earth surged into his divine dragon body. Once there was an injury, it was almost immediately healed. For a moment, Kong Shin-mu couldn't be harmed. Except for the Black Dragon Leader, who was at the first tier of the divine martial realm. The other 4 dragon warriors besieging Kong Shin-mu were only at the 6th and 7th tier of the Dragon Ascension realm. For Kong Shin-mu, they weren't too strong. If it was a one-on-one battle, Kong Shin-mu was confident that he could kill any one of the 4 dragon warriors. That is, the divine martial realm dragon leader was a little more troublesome. Kong Shin-mu was sure that he wasn't a match for him. But now, he didn't need to kill him. He only needed to delay him. Once the 5 Dragon Ascension Realm dragon warriors, they could find an opportunity to escape. Ha! As if discovering that Kong Shin-mu was very durable, the Black Dragon Leader was a little surprised. But then, he opened his dragon mouth and shot out a jet of black light, accurately landing on the neck of the black dragon transformed by Kong Shin-mu. Suddenly, a terrifying corrosive power descended and began to rapidly corrode the flesh and blood of the black dragon body. Almost in an instant, the white bones of Kong Shin-mu's black dragon form could be seen. But in the next moment, the power of the demonized monster core continued to be activated. As the devouring power surged into his wound, it quickly healed his injury. At the same time, Kong Shin-mu seized the opportunity and quickly flew to the side of one of the Frost Divine Dragons with his 2 dragon skills, Sky-Piercing Dragon Shadow and Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. He cut a hole in the Divine Dragon's body, and the Divine Dragon's blood essence gushed out. Devour! Without hesitation, Kong Shin-mu clasped the wound with his Dragon Claw. Then, the dark devouring power emerged and directly eroded the Dragon Ascension Realm Dragon's body, then began to devour the Dragon Ascension Realm Dragon's flesh and blood essence. Once Kong Shin-mu seized the opportunity, Kong Shin-mu would not let go easily until the Dragon Ascension Realm Dragon was completely devoured to death or Kong Shin-mu himself died. At this moment, the Frost Divine Dragon was firmly held by Kong Shin-mu, but this dragon warrior did not realize the seriousness of the matter. After all, the dragon warrior had not seen the existence of the devouring power, and its lethality was limited. It had to be constantly devoured to make the opponent feel that something was wrong. Kill him quickly, don't drag it out for too long. The first layer of the God Martial Realm Black Dragon snorted coldly and continued to attack Kong Shin-mu with its corrosive power. His flesh was quickly corroded by the innate power of the Black Dragon. Even the demonized monster core that he had just swallowed was no longer enough to keep Kong Shin-mu in an unharmed state. Fortunately, his devouring power was constantly absorbing the life essence of the Frost Divine Dragon, preventing him from being completely corroded by the corrosive power. However, following that, the other 3 divine dragons' innate talents came one after another. One of them was also the power of frost, while the other 2 were respectively the power of hurricane and raging flames. The terrifying destructive power left deep scars on Kong Shin-mu's black dragon body. If it weren't for the fact that dragon bones were much tougher than divine dragon flesh, Kong Shin-mu's dragon bones would have been destroyed. Hold on. Kong Shin-mu gritted his teeth and continued to pour the devouring power into the Frost Divine Dragon's body, increasing its resistance to the Frost Divine Dragon's innate talent. In this way, the threat of the other dragon warrior with the Frost Divine Dragon's innate talent to him became lower and lower. This was also the reason why Kong Shin-mu made the Frost Divine Dragon his first target. As long as he could devour the essence of the Frost Divine Dragon's flesh, it would be equivalent to cutting off the threat of 2 opponents. Even so, Kong Shin-mu's black dragon body was rapidly being destroyed. Countless wounds appeared on his divine dragon body. Although he was in the process of recovering, the process was extremely painful. Every wound was so deep that the bones could be seen. Every wound was constantly being destroyed and healed. The cycle of endless pain was endless. If it was anyone else who had to endure it, they would have been unable to endure it. However, Kong Shin-mu was already used to such a situation. Although the pain this time was more severe than any other time before, he still gritted his teeth and endured it. This brat, what is going on? The divine martial realm Black Dragon saw this and immediately became gloomy. He originally thought that this brat could be easily killed, but he didn't expect this brat to be so tough. He actually endured the attacks of the 5 of them and didn't die, persisting for such a long time. But this is the end. Devils devour. the Black Dragon leader finally used the Dragon Warrior skill. The endless corrosive power condensed into a dark hand that appeared out of thin air beside Kong Shinmu and grabbed Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon body. Then, as if it was gently squeezing, it actually broke Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon body into 2 pieces. Kong Shinmu's Black Dragon tail was completely torn off, causing him to let out a painful dragon roar. Then, the devouring power became even more violent. Although his dragon tail was torn off, he wouldn't die. However, if this Dragon Warrior skill was used again, Kong Shinmu was afraid that he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Chapter 38-89. After Kong Shinmu launched the devouring power on the Ice Divine Dragon for a period of time, most of the Ice Divine Dragon's flesh and blood essence had been devoured by Kong Shinmu and turned into his own life force to restore his heavily injured Black Dragon body. And the Ice Divine Dragon was getting weaker and weaker. This Ice Divine Dragon was a 7th-tier Dragon Ascension Realm martial artist. His cultivation base was not much higher than Kong Shinmu's, and his strength was not very strong. In particular, his Divine Dragon body was still relatively weak, and he did not cultivate any body-refining dragon martial skills, so Kong Shinmu could easily injure him and then corrode the Ice Divine Dragon's body with the devouring power. At that moment, the Ice Divine Dragon felt as if he was suffering from a serious illness. He had power in his body, but he couldn't use it. He began to panic. The feeling of his life force constantly draining away made him panic like he had never felt before. "Big brother, save me!" The Ice Divine Dragon hurriedly cried out. His whole Divine Dragon body struggled with all his might, but his struggle was getting weaker and weaker. At the beginning, he could not break free from Kong Shinmu's control. Now that more than half of his flesh and blood essence had been devoured, how could he escape from Kong Shinmu's hands? The devouring power continued to devour his flesh and blood essence. And although Kong Shinmu's dragon tail was torn off, in the process of constantly devouring, he still managed to preserve his life. Moreover, the flesh and blood of his dragon tail began to regenerate. The Divine Martial Realm martial artist's Devil Devour was enough to tear off Kong Shinmu's divine dragon tail, but it could not take Kong Shinmu's life. Although this was just an ordinary move of the martial artist, it was enough to surprise him. This kid was so strange? Logically speaking, if the dragon tail was torn off, every martial artist would be in incomparable pain, and might even faint from the pain. But now, this young black dragon in front of him seemed to be completely fine and continued to attack the Ice Divine Dragon. And it seemed that if he did not help, the Ice Divine Dragon would die because of this. Interesting. The Dragon Warrior of the God Martial Arts Realm was called Lu Yufa. He was the leader of this group. With the cultivation of the first level of the God Martial Arts Realm, he specialized in plundering in the Lava Mountain range. He had never seen such a strange guy. This made him want to capture Kong Shinmu alive, but compared to that, he didn't want to lose the life of one of his men. Since that's the case, I can only... Lu Yufa thought to himself. His black dragon form flickered with inky starlight. For a moment, it was as though night had enveloped the valley. It was likely that he was about to execute some sort of tyrannical dragon martial technique. Suddenly, however, an ice bird condensed from the power of ice swept forward. For a time, it froze Lu Yufa's black dragon body in place. The black starlight also stopped condensing. It was as if time had stopped. Looking to the side, it was actually one of the 2 girls, the ice-cold Xueqi, who had temporarily restrained Lu Yufa, giving Kong Shinmu some breathing space. "Go quickly." Xueqi's voice was very cold, but it could be heard that she still had hope for Kong Shinmu. At this moment, Shi Yutong and Xueqi had unexpectedly subdued Kong Ci and Qiuing, and then Xueqi had the opportunity to turn around and help Kong Shinmu. The ice bird froze Lu Yufa, but it was still very difficult. After all, no matter how strong Xueqi was, she was only in the 7th level of the Dragon Ascension Realm. Her fighting strength was at most equivalent to the 8th or 9th level of the Dragon Ascension Realm. It was almost impossible to kill Lu Yufa. After all, he was an existence of the God Martial Arts Realm. After stepping into the God Martial Arts Realm, the difference between the Dragon Warriors was like heaven and earth. It was possible to restrain him, but it was too unrealistic to want to kill him. It was also at this moment that the Ice Divine Dragon that Jiang Shenwu had been clinging on to finally breathed its last. The entire body of the Ice Divine Dragon fell to the ground, smashing into a crack in the valley and landing on a pool of magma. At this time, of course, Kong Shin-mu did not have the leisure to devour his opponent. The main thing was that the effect of devouring was not very obvious. There was no need to risk his life to do this kind of thing. Moreover, devouring a dragon warrior was not something he could do in front of others. Therefore, he dragged his seriously injured divine dragon body and immediately approached Xueqi. The ice divine dragon that Xueqi had transformed into saw that Kong Shin-mu's dragon tail had been torn off and that he was flying unsteadily. She grabbed him with her dragon claws and flew away at a very fast speed. The other three subordinates of Lu Yufa wanted to give chase, but they were trapped by Shi Yutong with the power of the drizzle, unable to pursue. The two girls, Shi Yutong and Xueqi, transformed into divine dragons, took Kong Shin-mu and left the valley crack together. Soon, they disappeared in front of Lu Yufa and the others. As for the other three dragon warriors who followed them, they did not come back to care about Kong Shin-mu at all. When Kong Ci and Xueqi were defeated, the three of them fled in all directions. Therefore, only the two girls, Shi Yutong and Xueqi, were left, and the three of them walked hand in hand with Kong Shin-mu. In the valley crack, Lu Yufa quickly woke up from the freezing effect of the ice crystal bird. However, he realized that the group of prey, including Kong Shin-mu, had disappeared. He immediately flew into a rage. "You bunch of trash. You can't even capture one person? You're screwed this time. Boss, let's hurry up and chase after them. We should still be able to catch up." "Chase my ass." Lu Yufa did not even look back as he flew in the direction he came from. "Hurry up and run. We can't stay here anymore. Since we let them escape, the people from Dragon Prison City will soon come to investigate. We are not Crimson Shadow. Once we are caught, we will definitely die." The two dragon warriors, Kong Ci and Xueqi, were now seriously injured and had fallen into the valley. If not, they would not have let them escape. After all, there were only two of them. Kong Ci and Xueqi originally only wanted to hold Shi Yutong and Xueqi back until Lu Yufa and the others caught up. Then they would be done. However, they did not expect that the brat called Kong Shin-mu to be able to hold Lu Yufa and the others back for such a long time. They could not hold on and were seriously injured. Especially Shi Yutong and Xueqi. These two young dragon warriors' combat power was actually quite terrifying. Even Kong Ci and Xueqi together could not withstand them, not to mention the other three dragon warriors attacking together. In order to escape, these fellows used all kinds of methods. Naturally, Kong Ci and Xueqi could not withstand them. "Hurry up and leave with us." Before Lu Yufa left, he turned around and glared at Kong Ci and Xueqi. He then ordered his subordinates to bring the two seriously injured people along. One of Lu Yufa's subordinates was killed by Kong Shin-mu. Naturally, he could not return empty-handed. Coincidentally, they let the fish slip away this time. Hence, Kong Ci and Xueqi could only follow them on the same boat. Chapter 3890. The two girls quickly brought Kong Shin-mu out of the crack in the valley, and went to a remote place in the lava mountain range. 1. After making sure that no one followed them, the two girls put Kong Shin-mu down. The three of them returned to their human forms. "Amazing, you're Kong Shin-mu, right? You were able to resist the attacks of those five guys for so long and slowly recover from your injuries. Amazing." Shi Yutong had always been talkative. Now that she was talking to Kong Shin-mu, who had saved their lives, she became even more lively. Kong Shin-mu closed his eyes and leaned against the slightly hot wall of the lava mountain range. He continued to devour demonic elixirs to heal his injuries. His injuries were very serious. After transforming into a dragon, his tail had been torn off, causing him to lose a lot of vitality. That kind of pain was not something that ordinary people could endure. Him being able to endure it was already a performance that surpassed ordinary people. Now that he was relying on the devouring power to devour demonic elixirs to heal his injuries, he was still in extreme pain. Of course, he was not in the mood to chat with Shi Yutong. "Boring, you don't even know how to reply." Shi Yutong waited for a while. Seeing that Kong Shin-mu was still closing his eyes to heal his injuries, she curled her lips in boredom. However, Xueqi said coldly, "Let him heal his injuries." Although her words were very cold, it was obvious that she was concerned. The two girls stayed by Kong Shin-mu's side and leaned against the wall with him. They waited for Kong Shin-mu to heal his injuries and inform his family members to come over. In reality, the two girls were not unaffiliated like Jiang Shenwu. Instead, they were members of a clan in Dragon Prison City. In order to accumulate battle experience, they went out alone to hunt demons. However, they did not expect to encounter the robbery of a dragon martial practitioner. If it was not for Kong Shinmu risking his life to stall this dragon martial artist, the consequences would have been unimaginable. They would not have even been able to get the news out. Shi Weiying looked at Kong Shinmu with concern. Although her expression was cold, her heart was still very kind. She knew very well what it meant to lose the divine dragon's tail. This young dragon warrior named Kong Shinmu would find it difficult to advance his cultivation further. It could be said that his future was bleak. Of course, she did not know that Kong Shinmu had the ability to devour demon cores to heal himself. After all, this ability was too rare in this world. It was easy to treat some of the more ordinary injuries. However, the injury of a divine dragon's tail being forcefully torn off was too severe. Unless one had access to some special elixirs, it would be impossible to treat it. When I get there, I'll ask father to find him a position in the family. This time it can be said that he helped us. Shi Yutong said softly. Shi Weiying nodded and didn't have any objections. Even if their father knew about today's matter, he wouldn't abandon this young dragon warrior. What a pity! Shi Yuing sighed. She could see that Kong Shinmu was not very old. In Dragon Prisoner City, there were not many people who could become dragon martial artists at this age. Moreover, Kong Shinmu had not just stepped into the Dragon Ascension realm. In Dragon Prisoner City, Shi Yuing had never heard of a dragon martial artist family with the surname Jiang. Therefore, this Kong Shinmu's achievements were even more precious. It could be seen that his talent was extremely high, even surpassing her and Shi Yutong. Unfortunately, now that the divine dragon's tail had been torn off, he would encounter countless difficulties and dangers on the path of cultivation. He might even stagnate because of this. Kong Shinmu did not understand these two girls. After all, he had just met them, so he didn't know what they were thinking. However, from the way they took him away before leaving, he could tell that they were still very kind. This allowed Kong Shinmu to stay here and recuperate at ease. After the divine dragon's tail was torn off, Kong Shinmu, who had returned to his human form, felt that something was missing. He felt that he couldn't use the power in his body. Fortunately, the devouring power could completely absorb the energy contained in the demonized Yao Dawn and use it to heal any injuries on Kong Shinmu's body. After about 4 hours, Kong Shinmu felt that his injuries were almost healed. Just to heal the divine dragon's tail, he had consumed 5 demonized Yao Dawn. It could be seen that his injuries were indeed very serious. If not for the devouring power, Kong Shinmu would have been basically crippled. After all, how could an opponent in the divine martial artist realm be so easy to pin down? This was because Lu Yuefei hadn't expected Shi Weiying to be able to hold him off for a short period of time and had underestimated her. Otherwise, he would have used his killer move right from the start and killed Kong Shinmu instantly. Unfortunately, a single mistake could cause everlasting sorrow. He had made the mistake of underestimating his opponent, so Lu Yuefei could only flee in panic. He didn't dare to stay in the lava mountain range any longer. When Kong Shinmu had almost finished recuperating, a loud dragon roar suddenly came from the distant sky. This dragon roar made Shi Yutong and Shi Weiying both heave a sigh of relief. They could tell that it was their father's dragon roar, which meant that their father was already nearby. As long as he was within the range of Dragon Prison City, it could be said that he was absolutely safe. Even if the real Crimson Shadow attacked, their father would still be able to protect them. This was because their father was one of the few divine dragon experts in Dragon Prison City, the divine dragon, Shi Tao. The divine dragon was revered in Dragon Prison City, and was basically only slightly weaker than the Dragon King. Moreover, the Dragon King wouldn't usually appear in front of the public. Therefore, the divine dragon Shi Tao could basically be considered as the person in charge of Dragon Prison City. Of course, he wasn't the only divine dragon in Dragon Prison City, but this was already very impressive. With the divine dragon Shi Tao here, even the real Crimson Shadow might not be able to gain any advantage over him. Therefore, the current situation was definitely safe. As for Lu Yuefei and the others, they must have already escaped. Even if they didn't know Shi Yutong and Shi Weiying's identities, they wouldn't be able to openly plunder nearby. If Lu Yuefei knew Shi Yutong and Shi Weiying's identities, He probably wouldn't have dared to do this and attack them. I'll look after him. Go and bring father over, Xueqi said to her sister. Okay. Shi Yutong nodded and turned into a dragon. She flew up into the sky above the lava mountain range and prepared to welcome their father, the divine dragon Shi Tao. Xueqi was left alone, emitting a cold aura. She took a few glances at Kong Xinmu and suddenly frowned. This was because she felt that the young dragon warrior's aura seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. It didn't seem like he had just been seriously injured. He's recovering so quickly? Chapter 3891. Kong Xinmu opened his eyes. He smiled gratefully at the cold girl, Xueqi. My recovery speed is my specialty. It's related to my talent. Thank you for saving me this time. You saved us first, that's why I helped you, Xueqi said coldly, returning to her cold self when she saw that he had woken up. Kong Xinmu didn't care about what she said. At least from the fact that the two sisters had turned around to take him away, he could tell that the two girls were kind-hearted, unlike the other three dragon warriors who had escaped, who didn't care about Kong Xinmu at all. This time, Kong Xinmu and the two girls could be said to have saved each other. From Kong Xinmu's point of view, they didn't owe each other anything. But the two girls didn't think so. It was because Kong Xinmu had stalled the divine martial realm dragon warrior that they had the chance to defeat Kong Ci and Xueqi and escape. If it wasn't for Kong Xinmu, no one else would have been willing to do it, and they wouldn't have been able to do it. Who could be like Kong Xinmu? Who could resist so many powerful dragon warriors when he was only in the dragon ascension realm and not die? And his injuries recovered so quickly. Follow me back to Dragon Prison City. My father should want to see you, Xueqi said coldly to Kong Xinmu. Your father, who is he? Kong Xinmu didn't agree immediately, but asked casually. Divine Dragon Shi Tao, Xueqi said indifferently. Her tone was filled with pride, but she did not look down on Jiang Shenwu. This time, you saved us sisters. It's just that your strength is not ordinary, but this time, even your dragon tail was torn off. If you want anything, my father will basically satisfy you. Kong Xinmu nodded silently. He didn't refuse her kindness. Although his dragon tail should have recovered, if there were cultivation resources for him to take, why would he refuse? He wasn't a stubborn person. If someone gave him benefits, he would definitely take it. Moreover, the clan tournament was very close. In less than 6 months, if he wanted to surpass Zhang Liuxue of the Zhang clan, and the other geniuses of the other clans, he had to obtain the greatest amount of cultivation resources. Soon, a group of dragon warriors descended from the sky and came to where the two were. The leading girl, Shi Yutong, cheerfully said to a middle-aged man beside her, Father, that's Kong Xinmu. If it weren't for him stopping the divine martial realm dragon warrior, we probably wouldn't have escaped. The middle-aged man wore a brocade and luxurious robe. His eyebrows were raised like swords, and his expression carried the dignity of someone who had been in a high position for a long time. A gourd hung on his waist, and Jiang Shenwu had no way of knowing what was inside the gourd. This was the sacred dragon Shi Tao? Kong Xinmu sized him up and realized that he was also being sized up. However, he didn't have anything that he couldn't let him see, so he stood up and straightened his back. Little brother, thank you for saving my daughters. Tong'er told me that a youth younger than them saved them, but I didn't believe her. Now that I see it, little brother is indeed so young. Haha. The sacred dragon Shi Tao didn't put on any airs. Although his words were dignified, there was also a sense of familiarity, which made Kong Xinmu have a good impression of him. I heard that your injuries are not light. How about this? Follow us back to the mansion in Dragon Prison City. We have to at least help you recover from your injuries. In this period of time, don't run around and go to places like the Demon Hunters Association. How about it? The sacred dragon Shi Tao said to Kong Xinmu. My injuries aren't a problem, but I want to become stronger. If staying in your mansion can make me stronger, then that's fine, Kong Xinmu said in a humble tone. I see. The sacred dragon Shi Tao nodded, finally understanding what Kong Xinmu was thinking. Don't worry. If you don't need our healing resources, we'll give you some pills that can increase your cultivation. How about it? Then there's no problem. Go. Kong Xinmu nodded. Although the sacred dragon Shi Tao didn't specify how many resources he would give, How could a powerful sacred dragon be stingy with a mere wandering dragon? Just a few cultivation resources would allow Kong Shinmu to increase his cultivation by at least 1 or 2 tiers. This was a chance for him, but if the sacred dragon Shi Tao wasn't willing, he couldn't be bothered to ask for it. In any case, his injuries weren't as serious as they seemed to others. Kong Shinmu's dragon tail had recovered after he devoured several demonized Yao cores, but no one knew about this. Even the ice-cold Shi Yueying didn't know about this. She only knew that when Kong Shinmu was in human form, his injuries had healed considerably. At the very least, they wouldn't affect his movements and cultivation anymore. This didn't mean that his dragon tail had completely healed. Therefore, when Shi Yueying saw him give up on healing pills and choose cultivation pills, she was a little displeased. She thought to herself that this kid really didn't know what was good for him. However, she didn't have any deep feelings for Kong Shinmu, so she didn't care too much about him. Then let's go. The sacred dragon Shi Tao raised his hand, and a white cloud appeared in the void. Then, it carried everyone out of the lava mountain range, flying towards Dragon Prisoner City at an extremely fast speed. Jiang Shenwu was also carried on this white cloud. Walking on the cloud felt pretty good. Compared to transforming into a dragon and flying, it had a different flavor. The most important thing was that he did not need to expend much energy. For a dragon warrior at the Divine Dragon Realm, this kind of method was too common. As the magnificent city walls of Dragon Prisoner City appeared in their line of sight, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The 5 dragon warriors who came with the sacred dragon Shi Tao were also extremely powerful. However, they were very worried about the safety of Shi Yutong and Shi Yueying. Now that they had finally returned to Dragon Prisoner City safely, there definitely wouldn't be any accidents. Originally, they had heard the news that an organization claiming to be the Crimson Shadow had their eyes on the 2 ladies. This made them all feel as if they were facing a great enemy. However, they didn't expect it to be a fake in the end. Of course, it was all thanks to this kid called Kong Shinmu. Many people were very grateful to Kong Shinmu. Although they didn't have much to do with Kong Shinmu had saved the 2 ladies, so he was the benefactor of the Shi clan. To them, he was someone they had to treat well. We've arrived at the Shi clan residence. Little brother, take a rest first. I'll send someone to fetch some pills and see if they can help you. After the sacred dragon Shi Tao finished speaking to Kong Shinmu, the white cloud carried everyone all the way to the west of Dragon Prisoner City. The west of Dragon Prisoner City was usually under the jurisdiction of the sacred dragon Shi Tao. In this region, the Shi clan could be said to be the strongest existence. The Shi clan was not like the Jiang clan, a tribe that had been sent outside. The overall strength of the tribes in Dragon Prisoner City was at least equivalent to the Jiang clan. Chapter 3892. Dragon Prison City, west of the city, Shi clan mansion. This was an extremely magnificent building complex. The Shi clan had tens of thousands of dragon warriors and hundreds of thousands of commoners living in this building complex. It was one of the major powers in Dragon Prison City. In the entire Dragon Prison domain, the Shi clan could be said to be one of the top 10 clans. It was much stronger than the Jiang clan and Ji clan outside Dragon Prison City. Kong Shinmu sat alone in the back garden of the Shi clan mansion, drinking tea. This courtyard belonged to him alone. Without his permission, no one other than sacred dragon Shi Tao could step in. Of course, it was not a problem for the 2 girls, Shi Yutong and Shi Yueying, to come in. But other than the 3 of them, anyone else had to get Kong Shinmu's permission to enter. This was the respect that sacred dragon Shi Tao showed to Kong Shinmu. In addition, he had also obtained a Xian Yuan clear gathering pill. This pill was refined from the blood essence of a sky demon king, a Xian Yuan beast. It was also mixed with many natural cooling herbs. It was extremely beneficial to a dragon warrior's cultivation. Not only could it increase a dragon warrior's cultivation level, it could also help a dragon warrior consolidate their essence and foundation, laying a foundation for future cultivation. After taking the Xian Yuan clear gathering pill, not only would a dragon warrior's cultivation level increase, their cultivation speed would also be much faster than others for a period of time. It was equivalent to bathing in a spirit-gathering array at all times. Moreover, after Kong Shinmu came to the Shi clan mansion, he had obtained a token that allowed him to enter the Shi clan mansion's cultivation tower. The cultivation pagoda in the Shi tribal clan's mansion was much more effective in increasing one's cultivation speed. It allowed ordinary dragon warriors to cultivate at 3 times the normal speed, increasing their cultivation level. In addition to the effects of the Xian Yuan Clarity Gathering Pill, it would last for 3 months. It could be foreseen that in the next 3 months, Kong Xinmu's cultivation level would increase greatly. The strength of a dragon martial artist is one aspect of cultivation, another is the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence, and another is the dragon martial technique. Kong Xinmu pondered in his heart on how to reach a strength that was at least stronger than Zhang Liuxue in 6 months. But no matter how he thought about it, he still needed to obtain an even more powerful dragon martial skill. Currently, his dragon martial skill was not weak, especially his iron blood dragon body, which had been cultivated to the earth stage, causing his divine dragon body to be as hard as iron. However, since he was unable to raise the divine dragon blood essence to the heavenly dragon level in a short period of time, the dragon martial technique was something he had to improve in order to surpass Zhang Liuxue. The Roaring Sky Dragon Claw and the Void-Piercing Dragon Shadow were 2 dragon martial techniques that were considered pretty good in the Zhang clan. However, the dragon martial technique that Zhang Liuxue cultivated was not much worse than those 2 techniques. Furthermore, she was a dragon warrior that had inherited the heavenly dragon's blood essence. The sacred dragon Shi Tao has already given me a Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill, which is worth at least hundreds of thousands of dragon coins. He has also given me the qualifications to cultivate in the cultivation tower. This is already enough to repay me for what I've done. Furthermore, the Shi Weiing sisters saved me, so it's not appropriate to ask for the dragon martial technique. Furthermore, a tribe's dragon martial technique is not passed down to outsiders. Kong Xinmu thought to himself. He knew that he needed to obtain a stronger dragon martial technique from other sources. The Monster Hunters Association was currently his most convenient channel. However, he did not plan on accepting any missions from the Monster Hunters Association for the time being. This was the best time for him to raise his cultivation after taking the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill. If the effects of the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill were combined with the cultivation tower, Kong Xinmu's 3 days of cultivation would be equivalent to an ordinary dragon warrior cultivating outside for a month. One could imagine how terrifying the effects of the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill were. However, the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill contained a special herb. If this herb was taken too much in a short period of time, it would cause harm to the dragon warrior's body. Therefore, the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill, as well as other pills that contained this special herb, could not be taken in a short period of time. Basically, if one wanted to take a second Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill, they had to wait at least a year to allow the medicinal essence to completely settle and dissipate in the body. Otherwise, the disadvantages would outweigh the advantages. The 2 girls, Shi Weiing and Shi Yutong, had already taken the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill. In fact, the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill was the finale item of the auction house under the Shi tribal clan. Only 3 pills were produced every month, and they were refined by an alchemist of the Shi tribal clan. For the sake of the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill, many factions that were at odds with the Shi tribal clan would come to the auction house under the Shi tribal clan to throw money. This was because the effects of the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill on the younger generation of dragon warriors were too good for these factions. Kong Xinmu was naturally grateful for this. He understood that sacred dragon Shi Tao was thanking him for saving his daughters, and on the other hand, wanted to rope him in. Unfortunately, Kong Xinmu naturally would not be roped in by sacred dragon Shi Tao. His gaze had long since reached a higher level with the black dragon's consciousness in his body. In the Zhou dragon's nether ruins, he had even devoured the dragon soul of Zhou, which was comparable to the Dragon King. Compared to him, sacred dragon Shi Tao was far inferior. At least, Kong Xinmu could be sure that if the dragon warrior, Zhou, was still alive, he would definitely be much stronger than sacred dragon Shi Tao. He would be a terrifying existence that was not inferior to the Dragon King of the Dragon Prison Domain. Let's go cultivate first. Kong Xinmu took the Xian Yuan Clear Gathering Pill and headed towards the Shi tribal clan's cultivation tower. After he left the courtyard, many of the dragon warriors and commoners of the Shi tribal clan began discussing him. Now, everyone knew that this was the youth who had saved the 2 young ladies in the Broken Lava Mountain range. He was highly regarded by Lord Sacred Dragon, who even had the intention of taking him in and nurturing him. As usual, Kong Xinmu ignored the discussions of the outsiders. He only focused on what he was about to do. Soon, he arrived at the cultivation tower. He stepped into it and chose an empty cultivation room. Then, He felt the extremely rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Finally, he sat down and swallowed the Shen Yuan clear gathering pill. At that moment, his limbs and bones seemed to give birth to an endless amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It tempered his body, causing him to undergo a process of being reborn. In 3 days, I might be able to directly raise 2 realms, or even higher. Kong Shinmu was looking forward to the effects of the Shen Yuan clear gathering pill. After all, it was a precious pill that was famous throughout the entire dragon prison city. If not for a fortuitous encounter, it would have been impossible for him to obtain even one with his status. Chapter 3893. When Kong Shinmu came out of the cultivation pagoda, his cultivation had already reached the 7th level of the Dragon Ascension realm. His entire person seemed to have taken on a new look. He was filled with unprecedented power, and with the effect of the devouring power, Kong Shinmu was sure that even if he encountered a peak-level earth demon, there wouldn't be any problems. He remembered that when he was still in the Jiang clan, he had encountered Jiang Yilei. Now, his strength had already reached Jiang Yilei's level, and with the talent of the devouring power, he might even be stronger than Jiang Yilei. Right now, my flaw is that I haven't cultivated a good enough dragon martial skill. Since that's the case, I only need to ask Shi Tao for one thing. Kong Shinmu pondered in his heart. His original goal in coming to Dragon Prison City was to join the Demon Hunters Association, and then continuously earn Demon Hunter points to exchange for some dragon martial skills. Unfortunately, his first test in the Demon Hunters Association was met with an accident. In fact, he didn't want to go to the Demon Hunters Association with others, but there were many solo Demon Hunter missions that required relatively high Demon Hunter points to be accepted. Therefore, for the time being, Kong Shinmu was unable to accept those solo Demon Hunter missions. Now that he had the Shi clan residence, things were different. Kong Shinmu didn't really want to owe others a favor, but this kind of thing, for Shi Tao, was only a matter of a word. Moreover, it could save Kong Shinmu a lot of time, so it was not a problem to thicken his skin and ask for it. The next day, under Shi Tao's guarantee, Kong Shinmu obtained the qualifications to accept a few solo Demon Hunter missions. However, whether it was Shi Tao, Shi Yueying, or Shi Yutong, they were all puzzled by Kong Shinmu's actions. Clearly, Kong Shinmu had just been injured, and should not have fully recovered. Yet, he wanted to do some solo Demon Hunter missions? Wasn't this courting death? Shi Yueying and Shi Yutong, on the other hand, very considerately expressed that they could go with Kong Shinmu to do Demon Hunter missions. This way the safety and efficiency could be improved. Unfortunately, Kong Shinmu had his own secrets, and it wasn't convenient for him to let the 2 girls know about it, so he politely refused. From now on, there are still more than 5 months for me to cultivate. I need to at least break through to the Divine Martial Realm, and then cultivate 3 different types of dragon martial skills to a certain extent. Otherwise, I will definitely not be able to amaze the world in the clan martial competition. The 2 sisters, Shi Yueying and Shi Yutong, were considered mid-level talents in Dragon Prisoner City. If they were placed outside of Dragon Prisoner City like the Jiang clan, they would be considered top-notch talents. Other than the fact that they did not receive the Sky Dragon's blood essence, they were not inferior to Zhang Liuxue in every other aspect. Therefore, Kong Shinmu's current goal was to surpass Shi Yueying and Shi Yutong. As long as he could defeat the 2 sisters, Kong Shinmu would defeat Zhang Liuxue without any suspense. It should be known that the 2 sisters had cultivated many of the Shi clan's dragon martial skills. In terms of combat strength, they were definitely not inferior to Zhang Liuxue. Kong Shinmu first checked the list of dragon martial skills that could be exchanged in the Demon Hunter Association. With a glance, he saw a 4th-grade dragon martial skill, Magic Crystal. This was a body-refining dragon martial skill that was even more powerful than the Iron Blood Dragon body. If he could successfully cultivate it, it would be of great significance to Kong Shinmu. Furthermore, its cultivation method was similar to the Iron Blood Dragon body. It could be cultivated using self-mutilation. For Kong Shinmu, this was undoubtedly the most suitable dragon martial skill. Once the magic crystal and the Iron Blood Dragon body reached the earth level, purple magic crystals would freely form on the surface of Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body. The defense of these purple magic crystals was extremely terrifying. If I want to exchange for a 4th-grade dragon martial skill, I would need 100,000 Demon Hunter points. Currently, the solo Demon Hunter missions that I can complete only give me about 100 Demon Hunter points. Those demon beasts with high rewards are too strong. I can't deal with them alone. Kong Shinmu continued to ponder. 100,000 demon hunter points required him to continuously complete 1,000 solo demon hunter missions. If it was simply killing 1,000 demon beasts with similar cultivation, it would only take him 1 or 2 months to complete. However, the problem now was that the targets of these demon hunter missions were not concentrated in one place. It would take him a lot of time just to travel. Therefore, Kong Shinmu began to consider other ways. Otherwise, according to this situation, even if he waited until the clan martial competition began, he was afraid that he would only be able to start cultivating this 4th-grade dragon martial skill and wouldn't have the time to level it up. This magic crystal was still a relatively cheap type. After all, there weren't many people who cultivated the body-refining type dragon martial skill. Moreover, Kong Shinmu's demon hunter speed was guaranteed. If it was a group of demon beasts, it would be very beneficial for Kong Shinmu. This was because he could continuously devour and increase his own resistance through the power of devouring. In the future, it would be much easier to deal with the same type of demon beasts. Let me see, other than some ordinary solo demon hunter missions, there are also some missions that require submission of specific materials. Kong Shinmu studied the Demon Hunter Union's mission list. He discovered that other than hunting demon beasts, there were also missions that required direct submission of materials. The quantity of these materials required was relatively large, and they could be submitted repeatedly. For example, the Demon Hunter Union needed the horn of a flame magic beast. This material could be obtained from a type of demon beast that lived in a group called the Flame Magic Beast. Every Flame Magic Beast horn submitted would give 150 Demon Hunter points. The key point was that the Flame Magic Beast lived in a group, so there were very few dragon warriors who would have any ideas about it. This was even more so for Kong Shinmu to act alone. Kong Shinmu accepted a few missions to kill the demon beasts in the Lava Mountain range from the solo demon hunter mission list. Then, he prepared to continue heading to the Lava Mountain range to find the Flame Magic Beasts group and hunt them on a large scale. Only a dragon warrior like him, who possessed the power of devouring, would dare to think of such a thing. Otherwise, unless one's cultivation was overwhelming, other dragon warriors would be courting death by provoking the Flame Magic Beast group. Even some divine martial realm dragon warriors wouldn't dare to provoke them. Everything is ready, let's go. Jiang Shenwu didn't even need to bring any healing pills, because his own devouring power was the best healing power. As long as he had enough Yao Dan for him to devour, he could recover from any serious injury, even including a fatal injury like a dragon's tail being torn off, which was fatal to other dragon warriors. Lava Mountain Range. Kong Shinmu had met with an accident here. However, Lu Yufa, Kong Ci, and Qiuing should have already escaped. If they stayed in the Lava Mountain Range, they would have been found and killed by Shi Tao's men. So, he wasn't worried about encountering any accidents. Chapter 3894. The fiery demon beasts lived in the depths of the Circuit Mountain Range. It was said that they were a very large group of Yao beasts and were divided into many small tribes. The strongest in the tribe was a heavenly Yao, and it was not a low-level one. Its strength was definitely not weaker than the bone-piercing winter spider that Kong Shinmu had encountered in the Jiang clan. However, Kong Shinmu would not provoke the fiery demon beast king. Even a small tribe of fiery demon beasts would have at least 100 of them. If Kong Shinmu's operation went smoothly, he would be able to kill them all in a day. Moreover, in such a small tribe of fiery demon beasts, there would not be any strong existences. At most, 1 or 2 peak Earth Yao would be considered strong. Killing 100 fiery demon beasts would give him 100 fiery demon beast horns, which would be 15,000 points. If everything went smoothly, he would only need a few days to accumulate 100,000 points. Jiang Shenwu was all alone. He transformed into a black dragon and soared into the sky, flying rapidly in the direction of the Circuit Broken Mountain Range. Because he was all alone, it wasn't appropriate to hire a beast carriage, and he didn't want to pay for it. As for the energy consumed by flying, he could simply consume a Yao core to replenish it. Therefore, this was the advantage of moving alone. He could move freely and would not expose some of his secrets. It was very convenient. The Circuit Mountain Range was filled with hot lava. Scorching hot air rose everywhere. When Jiang Shenwu arrived at this place again, he returned to his human form at the entrance of the fused mountain range. He did not swagger in like last time. Although Lu Yuefei and his gang were definitely not here, there might be other groups. If he was too high profile before he had the strength, it would eventually lead to some unsolvable problems. On one of the paths leading up the Circuit Mountain range, there were many dragon warriors walking in groups. When they saw Kong Shinmu, they were a little puzzled. Why did this young man come to the Circuit Mountain range alone and even go deeper into the Circuit Mountain range? Little brother, what kind of Yao beasts are you here to kill? Why don't you come with us? We can take care of each other. Otherwise, with your small body, I'm afraid you'll die in the hands of the demonic beasts in less than 2 hours, haha. From time to time, there would be people extending olive branches to Kong Shinmu. They all felt that Kong Shinmu was courting death by entering the rusted mountain range alone. Moreover, they were all very surprised that there was actually such a young 7th-tier dragon ascending realm youth. Some of them sincerely wanted to help Kong Shinmu, so that he wouldn't die in there. However, most of them wanted to recruit Kong Shinmu into their team, so that they could use him as cannon fodder to explore the path and reduce the danger they were facing. Kong Shinmu naturally knew the mentality of these people like the back of his hand. Moreover, he did not need their help, so he did not respond to anyone's invitation and embarked on the journey to the fused mountain range alone. It was the same even when he was at the Shi family mansion. When Shi Yutong and Shi Yueying heard that Kong Shinmu wanted to go alone, they were equally worried. Unfortunately, under Kong Shinmu's insistence, the two sisters could only give up on the idea of following Kong Shinmu and let Kong Shinmu go alone. You really don't know what's good for you. An elegant youth with a head of long blue hair was a little annoyed by Kong Shinmu's disregard, but he did not say anything. He only turned back to his team and cursed under his breath. A stupid kid like this, thinking he's so strong. There are people dying in the rusted mountain range every day. How stupid. Let's discuss how we're going to kill that marked fiery demon beast. A burly middle-aged man in his team said in a low voice, "Fiery demon beasts are Yao beasts that live in packs. That marked fiery demon beast has a unique presence. If we see it, we will definitely be able to identify it. The key is how to lure that one fiery demon beast out." That fiery demon beast was marked because a young dragon warrior died in its hands in Dragon Prison City. After his death, the dragon warrior left behind a mark, so the dragon warrior's father wanted to avenge him. After all, the dragon warrior's father is just a merchant, not a dragon warrior, so this is the only way. And he wants us to capture it alive. That old man is not a dragon warrior. Even if we capture it alive and bring it back to him, what can he do to the fiery demon beast? Hee. The group discussed animatedly, but regarding the mission of killing the marked fiery demon beast, they already had the outline of a plan in their hearts before they came. Soon, a plan was formed. After the plan was set, the 7-people team followed closely behind Kong Shinmu and headed up the rusted mountain range. Kong Shinmu did not care about the other people's attempts to recruit him, nor did he care about their attitudes and words after he ignored them. He set foot on the rusted mountain range alone and headed straight for his destination. Other than wanting to kill the fiery demon beast and obtain its horn, he also accepted a few other missions to hunt Yao beasts in the rusted mountain range. Therefore, it was more appropriate for him to do the other missions first. After all, the other missions were much simpler. They only required him to hunt some Earth Yao beasts that were alone or in small groups. For Kong Shinmu, it was not difficult at all. After spending a day, Kong Shinmu finished all the Yao beasts that he needed to hunt. There were a total of 6 missions to hunt various Yao beasts. After completing them, he would be able to obtain 500 to 600 Yao beast hunting points. To him, it was better than nothing. The key was to hunt some Yao beasts and obtain some Yao cores. Although he had stored up quite a lot of Yao cores, he was still worried. Therefore, he had to prepare more Yao cores in preparation for the upcoming battle. After everything was settled, he decided on a plan to hunt the fiery demon beasts. First, of course, he had to find a small tribe of fiery demon beasts. A tribe of about 100 fiery demon beasts was about the same size. He could still handle it. First, he would lure out 1 or 2 fiery demon beasts. After killing them, he would obtain the effect of resisting the fiery demon beasts through his devouring power. After that, it would be much easier to deal with the fiery demon beasts. Finding a tribe of fiery demon beasts isn't difficult. Kong Shinmu took out a map from his chest. This map was a map of the rusted mountain range that was given to him by the Monster Hunter Association. There were some markings of the locations of some ferocious Yao beasts. In addition, there were also the locations of the fiery demon beasts tribes. There were some records, but they were not very accurate. After all, these Yao beasts were not inanimate and could move. This map could only be used as a reference. When he followed the map and found the closest fiery demon beast tribe, he found that this place was still the location of the fiery demon beast tribe. It was not different from the markings on the map, which made him sigh in relief. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.